Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to another episode of Sports Talk Week 2. Coach of the Controversial Podcast. I'm your host, Simply Nicholas 87, and my co-host Ty H.
Hey, good evening, good people.
And thank you for all the subscribers. Thank you for the people that tune in. Hit that like button, share the content. Man, we're on the road now to a new goal of 500. We're at 307, and I think we can make that happen. There's been a lot of good support coming in lately. We appreciate all the new people, all the people that tune in to the content, whether it's sneaker battles, sneaker reviews, sports, or just general topics. We appreciate you. And there's somebody in here, Sco. What's going on? My co-host Sco for the sneaker battles. Yeah, shout out to Sco.
So,
Um, Also, man, if y'all interested in getting the merch is available on the website at moneyfreshclothing.bigcartel.com. Get you a CCP t-shirt. We have shirts available, black and white. So go check them out. The I would say the link. I think it's in the description. If not, I'll put it in there later on. But the website is also in the ticker at the bottom. If you're interested in buying a t-shirt, definitely go check it out. But yeah, we back for another week, week 2. Um, Preview recap, Anson versus Sun Valley. Um, I didn't get to go to the game. I did talk
I
to you
did.
after the. I talked to you after the game, and I also had some other stuff that I'll address later on down the road. And I hope those people come in here because I did send them the links to this. So I'm going to let you have the floor, and you tell me everything that you saw last Friday.
I think last Friday I could summarize it into two things. I'm going to sound like Ron Rivera. One, missed opportunities. Two, second half fatigue. Uh, when I say missed opportunities, this game was a 7-7 game at halftime. The lone score that we had came from play action pass from Luke Hyatt to little wide receiver number 6, who's a speedster who needs to be featured even more. There were other opportunities where either big plays could have been made, but timing was off, or an overthrow here or underthrow there. Receiver stopped running here, receiver stopped running there. Those type of timing issues, or um, um, the biggest timing issue was again the QB center exchange. That's derailing our offense because lots of times we'll have good drives going, we'll move up and down the field, and then we'll get a bad snap even if the QB is able to corral it, a lot of times it throws the timing of the play off. What people don't realize, if the timing of a play is thrown off, it'll derail the entire play. So I'm gonna give an example. One of the drives, our opening drive, we had an excellent drive going. It got in plus territory. He gotten around maybe around the 40, 35-yard line. The snap was snapped above the QB's head out of the shotgun slash pistol, and the ball went about 30 yards backwards. Hyatt had to run backwards and land on it. That derailed that whole drive. You eventually punted that away. That was a drive where you had a great chance to score a touchdown when you were marching down the field. There were other drives in the first and second half where we were getting, we were starting to get in rhythm in our drive, especially in the first half. And then you get a bad snap that throws the timing of the playoff, and that causes you to have like a loss of 4 yards instead of potentially a gain of 3 or 4 yards, and get you all scheduled on the down and distance. That's been the primary
Blackout was going on.
offense. The defense hung. They stayed in the game for 3 quarters. The defense they forced turnovers. They we're still not getting much pass rush, but they did a respectable job against the run. They for 3 quarters they were keeping them out. Some out of the end zone. We went into the fourth quarter only down 14-7. But in the fourth quarter, our defense melted down. They started missing tackles, started giving up big plays, started having breakdowns in the secondary, giving up big plays, and ultimately Sun Valley was able to gain separation, and the final score ended up being 35-7. What I'll say about that, and I'm not making an excuse, it's just an observation. We got a lot of key players playing both ways, a lot, and I think in the fourth quarter of that game, it definitely showed because you could see the fatigue there. The reason I'm saying I'm not making an excuse is just an observation because a lot of teams do that. Monroe's notorious for playing key players both ways, and and they have a good team year in and year out. They lost the shootout to West Charlotte last weekend, but Monroe's still a very good team, and they play a lot of guys both ways, so we can't use it as an excuse. But from my observation, a lot of guys playing both ways took its toll late in that game, as you could see the fatigue on defense. And when I say key players, I'm talking about you got starting wide receivers playing linebacker and DB. You got your starting running back playing edge rusher and all that. So I mean, you got a lot of guys playing both ways, and I think that's what hurt on the defensive side of the ball in the second half. My counter to that of how things could have been better when we were on offense, had we not missed opportunities and had those drives to stall because of bad snaps and that type of thing and self-inflicted wounds, that we would have more points on the board. The game wouldn't have had to be on the defensive shoulders to hold a team like that. So the offense got to complement the defense. And I think offensively, people can talk about play calling and all that stuff all they want. At the end of the day, players still have to make plays. There are opportunities where plays could have been made and they weren't made, whether it was mistiming, maybe whether it was a receiver stopping on the route, whether it was an overthrow by the QB. And many times our drives end up stalling maybe because of an untimely holding penalty. And many times also the bad snap. That center QB exchange, if that doesn't get fixed and that problem persists throughout the year, that's going to cost us a lot of games, and we'll be fortunate to win 2 or 3 games if that doesn't get fixed. I'm not saying it can't get fixed, but when I say it gets fixed, it needs to be fixed against North Carolina. It doesn't need to be like we're talking about, well, when we get in conference, it'll get fixed. That got to get fixed immediately. That's a problem, and it looks like it's still an ongoing problem. And if there's a problem there and the people in charge don't fix it, then that falls on them. And at the end of the day, the objective is to win games. And if you see something, like I said, I never played it down, but I can see that's a problem. And if nothing's done to address that problem, another concern, that middle of the offensive line is still getting pushed around a little bit. If you're and of course center is right in the middle of your offensive line, so your center and guards are getting pushed around. If our offensive line woes, especially with the center QB exchange, doesn't get fixed, I don't feel confident in any matchup. If your offensive line is struggling, that means your offense is going to struggle.
Right.
I don't care what you have at your skill positions. I don't care how good your running back is. I don't care how good your quarterback is. I don't care how good your receivers are. If you can't block up front, you're in trouble. And not only is it a struggle to block up front, when you don't have a smooth exchange between the center and QB. And at some point, if you see that having the QB in shotgun or the pistol, if you see that we can't get a clean exchange that way, then put him on the center. Because you can't continue to, if you see something that's not working and you see it's not working and you try it over and over again without fixing it, by definition, the definition of insanity, I'm not calling anybody insane, I'm just using the definition. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same result but expecting something different. If we're not doing anything to fix or rectify the issue, then we can't continue to do the same thing over and over again, or we're going to get the same results. That's all I'm saying. So that's my analysis. Don't really have a lot to happen because it's not like we fumbled the ball or anything like that. We just primarily just we stalled our own drives, and then I said defensively in the fourth quarter we just melted down and looked to be fatigued, and the game blanched on us in the fourth quarter.
Well, I want to say this because I did talk to somebody. I'm not going to mention the person's name unless they want the name mentioned, but I will say this. From what that person told me, they were having good drives, running the ball, getting about maybe 10 to 8 yards a clip on some plays. Like they were methodically running the ball, and then all of a sudden they went away from it. From what I heard.
I mean, you can make that argument, but at the end of the day, playmakers still got to make plays. They ran the ball in the first half. They ran the ball pretty well. But what you don't understand, if you get a holding penalty in the middle of that drive, it's going to be kind of hard to continue to run the ball when you get behind the sticks. If you get a bad snap from the center to the QB and it causes you to lose 5 yards, 6 yards on the play, and now you're in a 2nd and 16 or 2nd and 18, it's going to be kind of hard just to continue to run the ball up the gut when you get behind the sticks because of self-inflicted wounds. So, yeah, if you look at the box score and say that, hey, they ran this many times and got this many yards per carry, but that doesn't tell the story of the whole game. Furthermore, you have to be able to throw the ball some too. The one touchdown you got was from a deep pass to Little. So, I mean, you you can't just say run, never throw the ball. At the end of the day, whether you're running or throwing, you got to execute. You got to block up front. So I'm not going to say that our offense didn't score that many points just simply because we quit running the ball. Granted, yes, and I think I know who you're talking about too, because if it's who I think you're talking about, I sat with him I sat with this person at the game.
Right.
And I get where he's coming from, because yes, I've seen about 5 straight drives where let me explain this. Yes, you need to get Griffin established. You got to get him in rhythm. He's a big bat. He could tote the rock. And he was starting, compared to the week before. In the second quarter, he was starting to get a little juice going and get a little rhythm going. But you got to understand, sometimes in those drives, you might get a holding penalty that puts you behind the sticks, where you put you in an obvious passing situation. Sometimes you might get a mistimed snap that would cause you to have a negative play, which would throw you behind the down distance. So at some point, yeah, you were going to have to throw the ball. When you're throwing the ball, playmakers got to make plays. Receivers got to make catches. Receivers can't stop running on routes. QB can't overshoot them when he has them in stride. Those type things matter too. Now, I know there was a period in the third quarter where maybe they may have should have gone to Griffin more. They probably, if I recall, there may have been about 8 straight plays or so between drives where he didn't touch the ball at all. And if you're trying to establish him, yeah, you want to get him his touches and see if you can get him going. I get that. That's a fair criticism, but that's only one component. That's not the entire reason of why.
It's not. No, I'm not saying it's the entire reason, but I did hear that particular situation that I was like, well, I get it. Like, I understand. Like, if you can get him in a rhythm, you pound it.
You got to pound him. But the issue, driving the ball is not an issue for us. It's finishing our drives is the issue.
Correct.
We don't finish drives. When we get in, just generally speaking, I'm not even talking about just this week, but I'm talking about over the last 3 or 4 years or even longer than that. But when we get the ball and we get in plus territory, we find ways to implode and go backwards to keep the score touchdown. When we get the ball in the red zone, we will find a way to not score.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we implode, we have a meltdown, we get an untimely penalty, we get a bad snap, we'll have a negative play, we'll have a missed block or something. We will find a way to not score that touchdown when we get in the red zone or when we get in plus territory. And that's a bigger problem, that we don't know how to finish drives. So, yeah, you could argue, yeah, he should have got more touches. I get that, and I don't know that. But at the end of the day, moving the ball is not an issue. It's finishing our drives that's an issue.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with both parts. I understand from both sides from what I'm saying. Like, that didn't have nothing to do with the outcome.
Well, I'm not gonna say it didn't have anything to do with it, but I'm talking about it wasn't the sole reason. It was
no, I'm saying
there's a myriad.
The end all be all. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, but I feel like, me personally, until they get that situation fixed as far as that QB center exchange, line up on the center.
Yeah, it makes too much sense.
Line up on the
me
center.
and I'm sure you don't mind saying, me and Big Gold, which he said put him on the center. That'll fix it. You know what I'm talking about?
It will. I mean, I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not being funny. That's a way to fix a situation that needs to be fixed.
Especially in short yardage situations, and like in your like in 4th and 1s and stuff, 4th and inches and stuff like that. You don't just put him on the center and quarterback sneak the ball.
Absolutely, I agree with that too.
Yes, Griffin is a playmaker. So I mean, but you got to understand, Griffin's also playing defensive end / edge rusher too. So I mean, so some of that. They may be trying to conserve his energy because he's playing on both sides of the ball too. So it's not like he's so some of those times, yeah, he may not be getting touches when we need to get him touches. But on the other end, sometimes they have him go right back out there and play defense as well. So he's on the field and he's still being utilized. It's just that his usage is really high because he played on both sides of the ball.
Right.
So that got to be accounted for too.
He said, believe it or not, these kids now cannot take a snap under center. They've been in the pistol since Pop Warner.
But a coach is, and I'm not trying to disrespect or insult anybody, but that's what coaching is for.
I agree.
That's what a coach's job is, to teach fundamentals.
Shout out to Coach Harris, because that's my guy. Shout out to Coach Harris.
What's up, Andrew?
But yeah, I agree. I agree with both points. I mean, it's a coach's job.
You got an offensive line coach. I mean, that's what .
Yeah. But I feel like the center exchange needs to be that pistol. I get it. It's the new generation of football, whatever. Under center,
Don't get me wrong. I like the pistol. I like the shotgun, and I think it needs to be implemented. But you still should be able. But it still should be taught. You still should be able to line up in the out formation too.
that's true. You got a back
You
that
still,
can run.
just because you're playing pistol, you still should also. And I know Anson runs out formation because that's Jackson's bread and butter. If it was up to Jackson, if he in a perfect world, he would run the old Fred Davis out formation, put the QB on the center, put a fullback behind the QB, and put a tailback behind the fullback. Put a tight end out there and split two receivers wide and run the old out formation and run the ball between the center and guard and run off tackle and pound it and run counters and all this stuff. That's the bread and butter Ralph Jackson offense. That's that bread and butter Ralph Jackson and Fred Davis offense. And then sometimes getting QB involved a little bit. Like if you had a Brent Simpson where you could put him on the motor, run some bootlegs and put him on the motor as well. That type thing. Give him run pass options. Not run pass option in the RPO thing, but the old run pass option like QB wagon and with the bootlegs and all that. That's vintage Ralph Jackson and vintage Fred Davis offense. But I understand. I don't have any problem with what they're running for formation, what they're running. I have a problem with the execution of it. And this is what bothers me. Speaking of this love fest for the pistol shotgun, and this is not about Anson. This is just in general. Like when you watch, God rest Mike Leach's soul, but when you watch Mike Leach's teams, like when he was at Texas Tech, Washington State, and Mississippi State, when they were going victory formation, they would take their kneel down from the shotgun. Mm-hmm. And that's every time I watched it, they would scare the devil out of me because you get one errant snap, you could end up turning the ball over on a victory formation. Right. I'm like, there's no need and I'm not talking about Anson. I'm talking about what I say in college football. There's no need to take a kneel down from the shotgun. Like, why are you going to victory formation from the gun? Makes no sense at all. And they primarily run with the QB on the pistol, from the pistol, not from the shotgun. But it still should be where you also know how to run out formation. You know how to run power eye. You know how to run single back. You know how to run from under center. And I know that Anson also does stuff from under center. They work on that too. The reason I know that is because typically when Anson's at a jamboree or scrimmage, especially those jamborees, lots of times they'll run out formation to hide what they really want to do, especially with mutual opponents there. Like, for example, if we're at a Battle for the Borders jamboree and Chesterfield will be down there and we had to play them that year, lots of times we run everything out formation to hide what we really do. So I know that he installs out formation under center in their repertoire as well.
Right. Well, I mean, the situation can be fixed. It's week 2, not week 8. And the situation can be fixed. I feel like for now, my opinion, line up on the center.
When it comes to
that chemistry, you need the chemistry. A center and a quarterback is just as important as a quarterback and a wide receiver. It's just as important, if not the most important part of the game.
Especially when you're running like a spread option type of offense that's predicated on all offense is predicated on timing. But I'm talking about any kind of option based anything with components of option in it, whether it's a spread option or even if it's an old school traditional single wing option or whatever, any kind of option oriented offense is predicated on timing. Or even a lot of spread passing offense are predicated on timing. And if the center QB timing is off, the timing of the whole play is going to be off. Because even like in the pass game, when you try to run timing routes where you're running digs and slants and stuff like that, if the ball isn't secured by the QB in time, if that's off half a second, that throws everything off.
Right.
And I've seen that happen quite a few times. I've also seen a few times where things break down. There's hesitancy on whether to keep it or whether to pitch it. And there are times I saw where he kept it when he may have could have pitched it, and then I've seen times where he pitched it where he may have should have kept it, that type of thing. So those type of things can throw the timing of plays off too, which can get you behind the sticks. And once you're behind the sticks, we're not a team that's designed to play from behind the sticks.
Agreed.
We have to be 1st and 10, 2nd and 6, 3rd and 3. We can't play from 2nd and 18 or 2nd and 20, 3rd and 13. We're not. Our offense isn't explosive enough and isn't quick strike enough to do that. We struggle to even get lined up, so we certainly aren't equipped for that. And so when we have to almost do everything we can not to get behind the down and distance. Or basically, if we ever get behind the down and distance, unless we get bailed out by a penalty or something, that drive is pretty much over. And I hate to say that. But the minute we get a holding penalty, you might as well send the punt team out there.
And as another good point that somebody made too about the offense, and it made sense, and I understand that this is not based off what it should be, but the point that they made was that this team isn't built to score 40 or 50 points a game. It's built it's built to score a maximum of 28, maybe 30.
I'm gonna disagree with that as you finish, but go ahead.
No, I get you. Now, I'm just saying it made sense because from a what's the word I'm looking for? From the standpoint that I've seen it, as far as how they run the offense in certain times, I can agree with it. Like not finishing drives and not, all that stuff. Yeah, then I would say they're not a 50 or 60 point team. Or
Yeah,
40, 50
we're
points.
averaging 7 points a game. I mean, well, a little bit more. They scored 12 first game, 7 last game.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it's not designed to score a bunch of points. I'm gonna say it's not executing to score a bunch of points.
Yeah, we'll say that.
Yeah, because all offenses, anytime I think in the summer, and Coach Harrison right here, you can tell me if I'm wrong or not, but I think every offense is installed with the intention of scoring points and scoring as many points as you can. And every defense is installed with the design to stop the other team from scoring as many points as possible.
All right.
And so, what bothers me, and after I say what I say, I want to read what Anthony just said. What bothers me is that when it comes to the offense, we move the ball up down the field, we just don't finish drives. So, and we're not Air Force, we're not Army, we're not Navy, we're not out here running triple option out the wing T, which I can say isn't designed to score a whole bunch of points, it's just designed to hold on to the ball. But and milk clock. We're trying to score points. We got speed receivers. We got Jaden Little, who's Jaden Little could blow the top off the defense. He reminds me of Tyreek Hardison. He's a guy that you could not have 8 men in the box if you utilize Jaden Little right. You got Courtney Sturtevant, who's a twitchy receiver, who's quick on his feet, who reminds me of like a chain mover, a guy that a twitchy guy that you can run a lot of digs and slants and stuff with, and get him in and out in the middle of the field to move chains with. Quick on his feet, can make a guy miss. So you got 2 high-level receivers, especially Jaden Little. Courtney Sturtevant is very good too, and both of them playing on defense as well, which may be impacting some of the offensive play. You got two receivers like that. You got Jazir Griffin in the backfield. You got Kendrick May, who's a slot receiver, who's also can be an explosive playmaker. You got some high-level skill position players, and Courtney Sturtevant can take it to the house. Jaden Little, of course, can take it to the house. Jazir Griffin, if he's healthy, he can wear defense down, pound it, and get you an end zone. And Kendrick May got the potential to take it to the house. I just named about 4 skill position guys like that we can get in rhythm that can give defense coordinators headaches. So I'm not going to say that our offense is not designed to score points. I'm going to say our offense is not executing. And quarterback Luke Hyatt has a solid arm on him. He's
I'm not knocking at his arm. I'm just the topic that came up. I'm not saying that they can't. I was more saying like the execution.
Yeah, and with the QB play, I'm not even that. Yeah, I mean he might have some overthrows here and there. No, he's not going to be perfect, but he's overall throwing the ball well. At the end of the day, guys got playmakers got to step up and make plays too. And so, and the offensive line got to protect him as well. Some of those times he's running for his life as soon as the ball is snapped. So
yeah, that's true.
So I mean,
we're gonna get into some of his.
What Anthony said?
He had a couple on here.
With the conference that Anson is in, with the Monroe Forest Hill coming down the pipe, Anson Forest Hill come down the pipe, Monroe Forest Hill come down the pipe to win any games you can to get playoff eligible. Of course. And by the way, even with those 2 teams in our conference, those games still got to be played. And
yeah.
But before you even get to that, we need to start playing winning football first before we worry about that. And that starts this week against North Orlando. And I'm agreeing with Anthony saying you need to win as many games as you can. The first start is to win tomorrow. That same North Carolina team played for us Hill last week and got hammered. So you know they're going to be ready to redeem themselves, or hungry to redeem themselves. We just lost too, so we got to have that same level of hunger to redeem ourselves, and we got to come out there and execute and win that game at home.
Absolutely.
That's a game that we're more than capable of winning, and we got to play a clean game and win that ball game. And then after that, who we got next? Albemarle?
It's Albemarle Central Paisley.
It's Albemarle before Paisley. So I mean,
that answers his question.
And that's a game that you need to win as well. Let's see this. I don't know if they play Central this year. They play them, but that out of state game can't help or hurt them. So they needed that North Stanley. It can't. It's still in your overall win total. It may not count again. It's still in your overall win total. So I mean, it's a non-conference game. I know they have that whole FPI thing they look at, but when they're dealing with seeding, but still, the overall wins still need to win that game. You know, there's no harm in playing an out-of-state game. So I'm not going to say it can't help them because still your overall win total. If another team, if we go, let's just say we go 6-4, and we're a wild card team, not a team that finished top 3 in the conference, and there's another wild card team to go 5-5, we would still be ahead of them. So you need to win that game too. You need to win that game, and those are all games we're capable of winning. I mean, like if you look at North Ryan, Paisley Central, Albemarle, and those 3 games right there. And by the way, 1 week at a time, we need to win tomorrow first. But if you look at those 3 games, you should win, and those games are all consecutive. Those are 3 games where you should win all those 3 in a row and be 3-2. But at the end of the day, if you don't play sound football, you end up in the same result that you got the last 2 weeks. You end up like North Stanley. You didn't play sound football, you lost the game. Against Paisley Central, against Sun Valley, you didn't play sound football, you lost the game. If you don't play sound football tomorrow, the same thing going to happen. As far as making or missing the playoffs, right now we just need to win the next game. You still got 7 games left, but you got to take care of business. 9 games left.
And they do. I can attest to that.
Right. So Anthony's agreeing with me again. Like I said, every offense is designed to score a bunch of scores as much as you can, no matter whether you're running, throwing, or balancing it out or whatever. That's the whole purpose of playing offense. The whole point is when you get on the field to move the chains and until you score a touchdown.
It comes down to execution and not making mental errors. I'll say that.
Right. And at the end of the day, how many more excuses are we going to make? We got athletes. It's time to win ball games.
That's true. Can't make any excuses.
No matter how you slice it, we could talk about this. We could talk about that. We could talk about this happened. We could talk about that happened. We could talk about this is going on in the community. We could talk about that's going on in the community. At the end of the day, you got 11 guys lined up out there on the field on Friday nights, and we're coming up short week in and week out. It's been 2 weeks. You got a game tomorrow. You need to win that game tomorrow. No matter what's going on. No matter what's going on that we can't control. There's certain things that are going on that we can't control. But the guys, you got about 42 guys on that roster. Out of those 42 guys you got to win with what you have.
Agreed.
And I'm about to say, yeah, we got a lot of guys playing both ways, so do Monroe, but they win ball games. Yes, we do need those splash plays, but if you're not blocking up front, and when you get down in the distance, there you go. And we got guys who are capable of making splash plays. That's the issue.
What's up, Mello? What's going on? Slant runs, hip, gain yardage, but it's all about the motion.
Yeah.
And like I said, man, I'm not bashing because it's plenty. It's talent all on that team.
Yes.
It's talent.
But that offensive line, I know that got to keep the coaches up at
night. That needs to be jailed before conference.
Well, it's either gonna happen or it ain't. Because like when you said that, well, it's only the 3rd game coming up. Yeah, but you ever heard the term it could get late early? If we don't take care of business, it's gonna get late early.
Absolutely. And it can. I mean, it really can.
And see, ordinarily I don't have optimism, but we deal with this every year. And we have the same conversation every year. Well, it's just week whatever. We can get it together. I'm like, some of that stuff should have all like center QB exchange. I understand early in the season there's going to be sloppiness coming. Offense always take a little longer to catch up to defense. I get that,
week one, I can understand week
but
one.
hold on. But things like getting lined up, things like getting playoff in time, things like getting your defense lined up, things like your QB center exchange, those things should already be intact when the season starts.
That should be taken care of in the summer,
right,
or spring, whatever, however you want to call it.
Right.
Because I can guarantee this: you don't see a Monroe having a hard time lining up, getting ready for plays.
And they have a bunch of teenagers too. It's not like the elite teams got a bunch of grown men. They're dealing with teenagers just like we are.
Yeah.
And they're in a similar demographic out there in Monroe, just like we are. They're in probably a Title I school too. They're in a situation where there's a lot of turmoil and stuff in their community. This is not Weddington. This is not Cupperson. We're talking about Monroe High School right in the heart of Monroe. They're in an area where there's violence and poverty and everything else in their neighborhoods too. They're, if I'm not mistaken, if not a Title I school, pretty close to it, and have a similar demographic to what we have. So it's like, but when it comes to us, we make every excuse in the book for why we can't have success when we can watch other teams similar to us have similar success.
He makes a great point. I should pin that. That is the absolute truth.
Right, and it all starts to start in the trenches. And like I said, our offensive line, the middle of our offensive line, the center and the guards are getting pushed around. They're getting pushed around with ease. And if, like I said, with the center QB exchange, that's already a miss. And then in the middle of the offensive line, we're getting pushed around. We're not getting any push. And like I said, that I know that got to keep people up at night, because if that doesn't get fixed, we're in big trouble. I'm talking about big trouble for the rest of the season if that doesn't get fixed. And when I say get fixed, I mean get fixed like got fixed this week.
Agreed.
Because they're not just going to magically all of a sudden. They're not going to magically go from what they are or what they've been the past 2 weeks to looking like the 1994 Dallas Cowboys O-line.
Yeah. I'll read the next comment up under that.
Yeah, the weather was like that. We were going to be sloppy whether it was rain or shine, just so you know. But I get your point. We're sloppy when it's dry as the Sahara Desert.
Yeah, you're right. He ain't walking them halls right now.
Nah, hell, I'll even go more recent than that. Even Trey Thomas or somebody like that from years after you left ain't walking through there.
Trey Thomas,
guys like Marcus Ham-Smith and stuff who were good offensive linemen, who were like who played under McMahon in the early part of high. Even those guys were good. One of the best offensive lines they had was the 08 team, and you had like Trey Thomas, Trey Melton, Marshall Tarleton, Quay Robinson, Trey, and those guys. That offensive line was a killer line that Patrick Pope ran behind in 08 and 09. None of those guys ran through the tunnel too. And those O-lines were coached by none other than Joshua McLaurin.
Absolutely. Like, you ain't got a Trenton Sturgeon out there. You ain't got a.
Well, I mean, Trent was a high recruit, but yeah, but he was hurt.
I mean,
Trenton was injured most of the time. He was an Anson. I'm not saying he was good, but I'm talking about he was hurt most of the time. Nelson was a good offensive lineman, who's the current offensive line coach, if I'm not mistaken. And when Nelson coached the line in 2019 when they were excellent. So I don't know what the issue is. I'm about to say you returned several starters from last year on offensive line, and I understand offensive line is undersized, but I thought that we got stronger. But if that doesn't get fixed, that's a problem.
Oh, it's gonna be a problem.
And I'm saying, and you can't wait to week 7 to get it fixed.
And I say this because I don't like speaking early, but I will speak kind of early. I don't know when that Central Payson game is, but I'll tell you this: they don't get it fixed by then. Them Payson boys ain't no little soft kids.
Nah, but they're not good.
They're not good, but they're physical.
They lost
that way.
They're physical. They're like on that same style as North Stanley. It'll be that kind of physicality. But I want to make it clear, Paisley Central is not good. This is not 1999 Paisley Central. This ain't the old Paisley Central. They used to win.
No, I'm not saying they're not that. But what I'm saying is North Stanley is not an elite. It's not independent either.
Nah, and that's the game that we blew.
Yeah, But here we are.
We should have beat Pageland last year. We blew the game last year against Pageland.
We did at homecoming.
Yeah.
Don't know how that happened, but
Lack of execution. You
but
went away from what was working because we struck early. A little burnt them for a touchdown early, similar to last week, and then they went away from it. So
absolutely,
they had so many self-inflicted wounds, bad penalties, untimely fumbles, and stuff like that. Because if you look at the yardage we played Pageland last year, I think we had more total yards than they had, but we couldn't finish our drives. The thing is, the same issues that plagued us last year are plaguing us now. And you return so many starters from last year. So and you, like I said, when you grow older and as you gain experience, I expect growth and maturity to take place and lessons to be learned from yesteryear. But it seems like even with all these incumbent starters returning, the same mistakes that were made last year to cost us game are being made and costing us games the same way they cost us last year. So it makes me wonder, like, where was the learning? Where was the growth? Where was the maturity?
And that's a good. I like the Ants comment. That is a true statement. They are highly underrated. But you know why they were dog? They breed dogs because they had discipline. They respect authority, and they ain't take no you know what.
Yeah, and you got to realize you got all these mild mannered people in the program now. You don't have a John Kreger on those sidelines, a fired up, intense guy like that.
No, you don't.
And I mean, you don't have folks like everybody's mild mannered.
I need that. The thing is with me, and I'm not critiquing nobody's coaching, and I never will because I can't. I won't understand it because I've never been a coach. But coming from a player that had coaches that would dog you or talk, I ain't gonna say that word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Dog you or talk to you like the scum of the earth. But they didn't say it in a malicious way. It was to help you get better. They pushed
Yeah, I
you.
mean, tough love. I get it. Yeah,
Tough love, yeah, absolutely.
they were intense. And the point I'm making is everybody can't be mild mannered. Like, there's nothing wrong with having mild mannered people, but it needs to be balanced with someone who's intense as well. So, just like you can't have everyone who's intense. If everybody out there is intense, then you're not going to have. You need to have a mild mannered person who can reach the people. There got to be a level of balance. And don't get me wrong, I've never coached. I've never coached at all. Never played either. But what I'll say is, but I've been in leadership before. Even in my job, I'm in leadership, and I understand
Right.
when you have a group of people under you and you have a task and you're trying to motivate these people to do this task right. And I also understand when you've trained these people and you've taught them, and then they still don't. Then you tell them and show them everything that needs to be done, and then they go rogue and do their own thing, or they don't do it exactly like you taught them to do it. I understand that. That's highly frustrating when you're dealing with people and you're showing them this is what I need you to do, and this is how I need you to do it, and they tell you that they fully understand it. Then when it's time to execute, they go out there and do something entirely different or revert back to old habits and then cause issues and then come back to you wanting you to bail them out. I get that, and that's frustrating. But also as a leader, I understand that you have to find out what makes this person tick, what fires this person up, what motivates this person. You have to find a way to reach this person. Also, when you're dealing with people in leadership, when you're in leadership dealing with people, you have to find out what people's strengths are, and you put them in position to utilize their strengths. So whatever, like, I don't know if you're familiar. I'm sure Anthony's familiar with this. You may be too. Are you familiar with the book Strength Finder? The book Strength Finder talks about not necessarily focusing on your weaknesses, but putting more focus on your strengths and putting yourself in position to utilize your strengths the best. And I feel, and that's a part of leadership that's important as well. Recognizing people's strengths and putting them in position to use their strengths the most. What did Anthony say? Yes, I agree with that, and that's not a knock on anybody. That's just a true statement. I'll put this. I'll even take it beyond coaching. A group takes on the personality of its leader, and and that's the point where I was saying everybody. You can't have everybody in the room be mild mannered. There has to be you have to have some intense figures in the room as well.
Yeah, I mean you got to. It's part. I mean it's part of the game. I get that. You don't want to be. I get that. Like you said, everybody cannot be like intense. You got to have like maybe one or two of those people that keep you here. You also have to have somebody that
And,
puts you
and
there.
yeah, and another thing when it comes to leadership and trying to and trying to put people in position to be successful at what they're doing. And that's in any component, whether it's work, whether you're a pastor of a church or whatever. Attention to detail. When there's a task at hand, there has to be high level attention to detail, because in order to get an individual at the level that you want them to be, or put them in position to get to the level that you want them to be, there has to be attention to detail. You have to present that detail to them and have to show them that detail, show them the importance of that detail, and work on that detail with them. Because if you can't get the little details are the things, the little details not being attended to are the things that cause big problems. That's where the death by 10,000 paper cuts happen. If you have little attention to detail, and I'm not accusing anyone of having little attention to detail. What I'm saying is attention to the detail has to be the focal point. So we might look at it from a perspective and just say that drive stall. But now if we break down to the little detail, what caused that drive to stall? Was it because somebody lined up across the line of scrimmage, which cost them to get a 5-yard penalty? Was it because somebody flinched, which threw us off the down and distance, and then rather than somebody flinched, the timing was the snap was a half a second off, which caused us to lose 2 yards, which now puts you back 7 yards from the original line of scrimmage. The little details. So in order to fix big problems, you have to fix the little problems.
Agreed.
So, and I'm sure that all the big problems we see all stem from little problems. So before we could fix the big problem, we have the detail, the little things, the little what we thought of as minor things, the attention to, just like on the job. When I see that somebody's struggling in a component that's on my team, I look at reports, I look at what they're struggling with, and I talk to them. I say, hey, what's not clicking? Why is this happening? What are you struggling with? Talk to me. And then they may say, well, I don't understand when we do this. So before looking at the big problem, I go look at the little issue that they're struggling with, and I break it down. And when I talk to them, I say, okay, going forward, when you see this, this is what you need to look for. Once you look for this, this is what you need to do. Before you worry about that, let's take care of this little thing, because this little thing can impact that. So we break down the attention to detail, and once we fix the little small issue, then we move to the next issue, and then cumulatively you'll see them start to develop and become better, and you'll see the results that you want. You can't change results. You can't change results just like that, because if you can't, you have to. It's like this. Every problem has a foundation and a root cause. You have to address the root cause to address the big issue.
Right, and I get what I get what you're saying, and I'll say this because I like how you said the attention to details, the small things, the things that you could fix. Like, so in this situation,
like getting lined up properly. That's attention to detail.
Are those things considered the small things, or those things that are big things that were small things at one point in time?
Well, now, I mean, when it continues, it's a big issue. But my point is getting lined up, like what I'm saying, like getting lined up in time and getting lined up properly. That's something that's considered like a fundamental thing. But if it becomes a habit, it can be exploited and become a big issue. I just think they need to find their identity from scrimmage out, push them more towards the power run game with the quick pass game. That's what they're trying to do, Anthony. They're trying to have a downhill running attack with Griffin, and then trying to hit the quick passes like with Kendrick Mann and Courtney Sturtevant, and then trying to catch you downfield with the play action with Jaden Little. That's what they're trying to do. But at the end of the day, they can't block up front. It is what it is. Let's see. I like Hyatt, but he won't be effective taking 5-step drops with that O-line. He has to get that ball out quick. Now, I agree with that. Some of those times, when they're trying to drop him back, he's running for his life. You're right. I get what you're saying. Quick step drop, slant over the middle, tight end dig, that type of stuff. I get what you're saying. Guys got to make plays too. Guys, when they hit them, they got to catch it. And one thing about how sometimes when he's under duress, and he struggles to get his feet set sometimes, and that's where he has overthrows. And one thing I think he does need to work on, some of his throws are like to the flats, like a lot of his slants, his out routes, or whatever. Sometimes he knuckleballs them, and where he throw it into the ground, like a lot. Because on the quick passing game, a lot of it, especially ones where you got receivers split wide and you're trying to hit it to the outside for like a little flare pass or a little smoke route or a tunnel screen or a little flare or something like that, or an out, whatever. Lots of times, when he's under duress, he'll knuckleball it, and and that's a wasted down. Sometimes you got a guy open, nobody where the DB got the corner got like a 5-yard cushion on him. You throw a little smoke route. If he catches it, that's an easy 5 yards. Some of those times, those balls get thrown into the ground, and that's a wasted down. That's happened a lot in the quick passing game.
I want to ask Coach Ant this because this is a question. It's not a pick at me question, but it is a serious question. And you, as coach, as you as being an assistant and a position coach, and I know that a coach will, and I'll say this in a good way, if your players make mental errors or mistakes, you hold them accountable. And that's what I'm asking. My thing is,
I'm gonna wait for his answer because it ain't gonna take him long to type yes or no.
Yeah, I feel like accountability, it can play both ways.
Well, just like when I like mentioning that, like when there was I'm not gonna call his name, but there was a player that got beat on a double move for a touchdown, and the play right before then he had a bad pass interference where he didn't turn around and locate the ball, and after he gave him a touchdown, I didn't see anybody coming up to him and talking to him or coaching him up. He sat on the bench and was there by himself with his head down, and we watched him for minutes, and not a single soul came up to him and talked to him.
And I feel like that's accountability.
I mean, I'm talking about, and at that point, someone should have talked to him.
I mean, the player messed up, but as a coach, you should come over there.
Well, my point is, someone should have been talking to him to at least uplift him, because if you're a corner, you got to have a short memory. You're gonna get burned sometimes at corner. So, but you see a guy there that just gave up pass interference and then just got beat on a double move, and then he goes to the sideline and sit down, and nobody's talking to him.
The drive,
whether it's to criticize or to uplift, I mean, he's just sitting there by himself with his head down.
He said that knuckleball comes from being gun shy.
Well, no, we have a lot of knuckleballs, like on a lot of second and nines where that should turn into third and threes, and where you got cushion, where you have like a smoke route or flare route and or a tunnel screen or something, and he just knuckleballs into the ground and wastes it down.
He said we uptime every day after practice for mistakes made in practice or games. Our defense runs the number of points scored in 40s. Okay, I like that.
And to be fair, I'm not an Anson's practice, so I'm not saying what does or doesn't happen. I don't know that. We were just asking Coach Harris what they do, and so just get a perspective of how those things are addressed. Given that they have an excellent program, we're just trying to get into the mind of exactly how they do things. That's not a suggestion of saying that they do or don't do it, Anson, because I'm not at the practice. We're just wanting to inquire of what this winning program, or some of the things this winning program does to sustain its excellence.
And his answer,
and we're talking about setting first, is what I'm referring to.
Yeah, you have to be held accountable for not meeting expectations.
And the same thing on the job, Nick. It's just like when you go to work every day, I'm sure your boss or whoever, they've outlined to you what they expect you to do.
Right.
And they give you time frames and when it needs to be done, and at what level and what quality it needs to be done. And if you don't meet those expectations, then first they're gonna have a conversation. Say, Nick, you're not meeting expectations. This is what we need out of you. And what do you plan on doing to fix this? We need to come up with a plan. Then at that point, you tell them, I'm going to do this differently. And then they're going to evaluate you again. And then maybe a month later or so, like, Nick, I haven't seen any improvement. Like, if this doesn't happen, I'm gonna have to document this. I'm going to have to write you up. And then so on and so forth until eventually when they don't have the need for you. You've been in management before. You've been in situations where you had to outline expectations to people. And when they didn't meet the expectations, you had to take action. Same thing in my job. When people don't meet expectations, I have to have conversations with them and come up with plans of action and win those. And if there's not an improvement, then I have to take further action because they have to know that their actions aren't inconsequential.
Absolutely, I absolutely get that because, like you said, at the end of the day, I don't want to do that. That's the last thing I want to do. I want everybody, get the work done. But if you're not meeting expectations, then there's that word accountability and expectations.
And see, and I know we're dealing with teenagers, but there also has to be a level of self accountability. At the end of the day, when you know what your expectations are, because you got to realize we got a lot of teenagers, but I put it this: they look down the road, they see Monroe, they see Forest Hill, which is right down the road, both of us. Those are their peers. A lot of them probably cousins and stuff to them. And they see what they're doing and see that they're winning. You would think there would be some level of accountability. Like when we had Jackson on, when he said that he was disappointed because his seniors waited to the very last minute to show up to camp and stuff like that instead of coming to the spring stuff. A lot of them didn't show up until it was time for mandatory camp. I'm sure the Forest Hills and Monroe didn't have that same kind of problem. I'm sure their seniors were there. Didn't wait to the last minute to be there. They were there probably
They were there in
throughout.
the spring, ready to
Right,
lock and loaded, ready to go.
right. The commitment to excellence. So at some point, those teenagers and the people in the household who were raising them has to also preach accountability to them. Because if you look at your peers, your cousins, your friends, and stuff that live 20 miles down the road at Forest Hill and 25 miles down the road at Monroe, and you see that they're winning and playing at a high level when they're no more talented than you are. But I'm talking all in all.
Right.
I mean, I know you, here and there you may have stand-up player. I'm talking about generally speaking, from top to bottom, the same demographic, similar talent level, similar size schools as you are, and they're winning at a high level, but you're struggling. But you got to realize those days that you weren't where Coach Jackson wanted you to be, compared to the days where they were exactly where Coach Sal and Coach Deese wanted them to be.
And don't take this as no disrespect, the pun intended, what I'm about to say, because, and this is to seniors, this shouldn't even be a, oh, I'm going to come later, I got something else to do type thing. This is mandatory. Like spring, you guys should be there. You're the leaders. You are the. This is your last hoorah. You should be willing to come out there a week after the season's over.
Should be setting the standard.
Thank you. You got the sophomore and freshman coming out. They don't have any. You know what I mean? I get it. They're trying to be part of the team, but if they show out more than the seniors, I find that kind of odd.
And what
I hold the
and
seniors
to
more
those
accountable
seniors,
than
you're a senior. To
or
everybody who's
junior.
16, they've never had a winning season. They've never played on a winning season at Anson, and have never won a playoff game. And if they wonder why this happened, just remember all those days that you could have showed up when you didn't. Remember all those times you said, "Well, I'm gonna wait later," and all of that adding up now. And now you're in the situation that you're in now.
Right. And I'm not knocking it, but like I said, I'm not trying to be funny to him, but as a senior, you got to set the standard. And I'm not gonna say all of them missed it because I'm pretty sure all of them didn't, but there were probably a few that didn't have nothing to do. They could have came out there. This is your senior year.
Coach even said when he was on with us that he was disappointed at the timing of when a lot of that his seniors waited so late to show up, and that he primarily had freshmen and sophomores out there, some juniors. So and here's the thing, and not only just football, but as they grow and they move into the real world of life, whatever they're trying to embark on, whether it's career-wise or whatever, if you want to be successful, whatever you do, there has to be a commitment to what you're doing. And whatever you're trying to be successful with, there got to be a commitment to your craft.
Right.
And if you don't commit to your craft, whether it's career-wise, whether it's relationship-wise, whether it's spiritually, whatever the case may be, if you don't commit to the task at hand, don't expect to be successful at the task at hand, because without preparation, you're not going to have success.
Absolutely.
So,
and like I said, it's not nobody. It's more so saying like, hey, you guys this is your last year. You should be really wanting this more than anybody in the world.
Right.
You should want to change the standard instead of being too
right. And like I said, the results are a reflection of the preparation.
Agreed. I agree. I'm not disagreeing at all.
Yeah. And when I say the preparation, I'm not even, and this year I'm not even talking necessarily about the coaching staff. I'm talking about those young men. Those young men also have to take accountability as well.
Yeah, you got to.
And at some point, it's like, do they want to be the ones to change the culture? They used to have those T-shirts on that say CTC, change the culture. Is that just a slogan because it sounds cute? Or is it something that they're fully committed to? And that makes me wonder, are your senior leaders truly committed to it?
I mean, I'm not going to question their leadership at that point, but, I will say this.
I'll put it like this. And I'm just not here knocking anybody individual, but what we see is what we see. And I'm gonna go back. The kid that got burned for the touchdown, and I'm not trying to pick on the kid because And by the way, shout out to Kwame McKeever. He's supposed to be back tomorrow. We need him back, cornerback. So I'm glad his health has been cleared. Go out there and do your thing, young man, tomorrow. Anyway, but the kid that got burned for the touchdown, like right before then, he got a horrendous pass interference, which put them in the red zone. And then the very next play, he got beat for a double move for a touchdown. And you should have seen how disappointed he was in himself. You could tell that he was disappointed in himself, and he was there, distraught, head hanging down, sitting on the bench by himself. Not only did I not see coaches talking to him, I didn't see any of his teammates coming up to him trying to say, "Shake it off, you're gonna be okay," or whatever. To me,
next drive, next position, we good. Forget about it. Let's go out here.
One thing about it. You also have leaders. When you have a winning program and winning teams, you have young men who are also leaders who kind of serves as just like on a job. You know how you have a supervisor, but you also have a team lead. Sometimes you expect especially senior leadership to kind of take on that de facto team lead role, like especially like your captains or whatever, to take on the role like, hey, guy, like when he talked about Wesley Lear, one thing that Coach Jackson always said about Wesley Lear, when things were starting to go left or whatever, especially in 19, he said Wesley Lear would rally the team around and say, guys, we got this, or tell them whatever he needed to tell them to make sure that he had the team's attention and had everyone focused. Do we have that leader out there right now? And that's not criticizing anybody out there. I'm just asking, do we have any? He did say that one thing he did say, he says Sturtevant has become a leader. We need some other leaders to join him in that as well. I'm about to say, you got a bunch of juniors and seniors out there who have an opportunity to make a change, and it starts tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't want them to crash out because I want them to have a good season.
Right, and the thing about it, you got a game tomorrow. The first start is to win tomorrow.
That's it. You could erase everything, and I want to get to that comment right there. You're absolutely right. You have to have a cold heart. Because guess what? When they get in the real world, everything's cold. You go to a job, I guarantee you, they ain't finna sit here and say, "Oh, it's okay." They're gonna let you go. You have to have a cold heart. I get it that you want to help everybody, but sometimes, and it's not being harsh, you can't help everybody.
No,
you can't. It's a cold world. That's what we live in.
Yeah, and then sometimes you can show people better than you can tell them.
There you go.
It's sometimes you tell someone something, and the message isn't resonating. Then sometimes you're left where you have no choice but to show them.
Yeah, because when you get out in this real world and you get a job, and you in a job sitting, and you decide to say, "Oh, I'm not just gonna come to work the next couple of days." That boss ain't gonna be like, "Oh, it's okay."
No, it's not at all. And those young men got to realize that when they get in the real world doesn't operate on diva time.
Nope, it operates on production time.
Right, we don't operate on diva time. So and coming out of high school, they're gonna go to 3 places. They got 3 options. Either go to the military, go to college, or get a job.
Yep.
And either one of those 3 places, none of those 3 places operate on diva time.
Nope. Especially not the military.
Yep. The job doesn't, and college don't either. Man. So I can tell you that too. Like when you're in college, if you skip class, guess what? Nobody's gonna call you to ask you why you skip class.
Nope.
Nobody's gonna say anything to you. Nope. They're just gonna keep track of it. And when you have so many absences and you fail the class, you just fail the class.
Yep. And don't sit there and look crazy like, dang, he gonna show you, well, you didn't come.
The professor will tell you at the beginning of the semester, you can have, I'm just gonna say 4 unexcused absences. I'm just using that as 3 unexcused or 4 unexcused absences, whatever the case may be. And right. And if you have those, they're not gonna call you. They're not gonna remind you and say, "Hey, you got this amount of absences." It's just when you fail the class at the end, those absences. That's all it is. They're not gonna check on you to see what's wrong. Nope. They're not gonna ask, "Are you okay?" Most of the time, they don't even know your name. They just know you by your student ID number.
That's it. Like I said, you're not showing up at the miss in the spring or most of the summer at a winning program, cut a star player. You saved 10 underclassmen. And he also said, I'll take my bumps with that younger guy that can be molded, especially if the seniors are not winning.
There you go.
I mean, again, like you said, a winning program, they're not going to put up with it. Especially a program that's consistent. That's the word I'm with. Consistency. They have been consistent. Let's not say they win state championships. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, they win 10 games a year, right? Well, high school, let's say 9 games a year.
That's if you win in 9 games a year, you should be a state championship contender.
Well, I mean, yeah, I get that, but the
Yeah,
consistency. What I'm saying,
yeah, I
you
got
don't go 6-5, 3-8, uh, whatever,
4-7,
1-9.
and
Yeah,
then when you got a bunch of seniors finally go 6-5 again, like 4 years later. Yeah,
it's inconsistency. That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
Consistency levels, whether I can get 9 wins, get close to winning the state championship, get that next year, 10 wins, get to the state championship, I might lose. And then next year we get the same thing and win it. That's consistency.
Right.
That's what you
And
call
great
it.
programs reload, they don't rebuild. So for example, let's say
Right.
you won 13 games this year and then you graduated 40 seniors. Yeah, you're gonna lose a lot, but a good team will still come back and go 7-3 that next year, even in
Yeah,
spite of that, and may lose the second round of playoffs or whatever, because they still have a winning culture that's established there.
it's the consistency.
Right. Because they
You're
like
gonna have to rebuild at some point in time.
by that time Kannapolis had like 40 straight winning seasons. That was because there was a culture established there to where no class that came up wanted to be known as a class to break that streak. All those years of Richmond Senior, and let's take out how I feel about Richmond Senior. I'm just talking about in the sense of consistency.
Yeah.
For many years, they were year in and year out like a 10-win, 10-win, most time 10-win ball club.
Contending for state titles.
Yeah, and even when at least get to third round of playoffs, and even when they were losing a lot of seniors here and there, they just turn around and reload. Shelby Golden Lions, because we're gonna deal with school similar sized ours. Shelby Golden Lions, they lose a bunch of. They got last year was a down year for them, and they still got to the second round of playoffs. That was considered a down year. They went like 8-5, and that was considered one of their worst seasons. That's because of the expectation and the culture that's set. That the classes that come up, they don't want to be the class to say they let the Golden Lions name down.
Mm-hmm. And
But
that,
right now in our program in Anson, that level of pride isn't there, and we've established a culture where losing has been acceptable. And I'm not talking about any individual. I'm talking about even within the fan base. Like when I'm sitting there in the crowd and I'm hearing people, parents and stuff like that, where they're just children, they're just kids. I'm like, yeah, but some Forest Hills guys are just kids. Monroe's guys are just kids. 71st's guys are just kids. So I'm not understanding that logic. Cardinal Gibbons guys are just kids. Maverick Creek's guys are just kids. So I'm not understanding that logic. They're just kids. It's almost like we're trying to find an excuse and a justification to why it's okay for us to lose. And I think some of that starts in the home, and that's why it may be kind of hard to get guys motivated and understand as well. And the fact that we're so far removed from being that excellent program that we used to be, you got a lot of kids now that 15, 16 years old, they were babies the last time we were really good. So they don't even know anything about it. So them, this is the norm, and this is what the expectation is. And there's not that sense of pride to the hey, we wear that paw on our helmet, and we have to reestablish the pride of this program, because in their lifetime they haven't seen the pride of the program.
Yeah, and I say this when it's like we were saying, speaking consistency, like they had not seen that. You could let's go back 99, because winning. I think 2001 winning.
Well,
that one kind of.
Let me handle that. I'll give you the exact numbers since we're gonna do this.
Yeah, you give the numbers because you got the numbers.
All right, 1999 went 11-2, went 9-1 in the regular season, finished second in the Southeastern 4A. Only loss of the regular season was the Richmond Senior. We lost to 29-21. We went on to the third round of playoffs and lost to AC Reynolds, who went on to win the state championship. 2000 had a lot of injuries that year. Even despite those injury-riddled season, we still went 7-3 in the regular season. Got to the fourth round of the playoffs, and for those who don't know, that was the regional final. That was the state semifinal, which is the game, essentially the final four of the entire state. We lost in the semifinal game, the state semifinal, to Independence, 30-28. 2001, we lost everybody. Still went 6-4. Lost in the first round of Chris. 2002, we were down. We were 2-8, 2-9. And that was for Coach Davis's last year. He went on to become the athletic director and brought in Coach Grooms to take over. The first year was still a transitional year, 3-8. But in Coach Grooms' second year, we went 8-5. Now from that point on, Coach Grooms in his 3 years, he went 8-5. That's 7-4. Second round loss in playoffs to Burns. So went 8-5 his first year. His second year, he also went 8-5, 7-4 with a second round loss to Asheville. His third year, he went 10-3. 8-3 regular season and a third round loss to Concord. So that's 4 straight 8-win. That's 3 straight 8-win seasons. And then After he left, Coach McMahon took over. We lost 33 seniors that year, including 3 D1 players in Barkwell Rivers, Trenton Sturdivant, and Michael Bowman, and plus some FCS players like Nelson Russian that we lost as well. In Coach McMahon's first year, he goes 11-3, 9-2 regular season, South Piedmont Conference Championship, and a third round loss in the playoffs, number 2 overall seed in the playoffs, and third round loss to North Gaston. So that's 4 straight 8-win seasons, and second straight third round playoff season, and second straight 10-win season. And then we go. That was the 07 season. Go to 08, 8-3 regular season, third round loss in the playoffs to Kings Mountain. So we went 10-4. That's our third straight 10-win season, and our fifth straight 8-win season, and our third straight year to the third round of the playoffs. So stay with me.
Yeah, I got you. Let's keep going.
Then McMahon left, and Coach Hyatt took over. Then that's in 09. So in 09, when Coach Hyatt took over, we went 7-4 regular season, lost in the fourth round, which is the state semifinal again, which is the game before the state championship. We also upset number 1 seed North Gilbert that year. We lost to South Point in the fourth round of the playoffs, at the 3AA playoffs that year. And so we went 10-4, something like that.
And by the way, 3A classification is probably one of the toughest classifications.
Right. So the point I'm making, in that span, we had 4 straight years of getting to at least the third round of the playoffs, 4 straight 10-win seasons, 6 straight 8-win seasons. And that's the only time in history that's been done. Now let's take the whole from 2000 to 2009, the whole decade of the 2000s. So we went out of those 10 years, we had 8 winning seasons. And out of those 8 winning seasons, let's see, 2000, give me a minute, 2006, 7, 8, 9, and 5 of those years we won 10 games. And let's see, 2000, 2006, 7, 8, 9, and in 5 of those years we at least got to the third round of playoffs. And 2 of those years we got to the state regional championship game. Yeah. So that's in that decade. That's just a decade. So we don't. The point I'm making, we ain't got to go back to the 90s. I'm just talking about recently. Yeah. That's in recent years. That's from 2000 to 2009 the success we had. But from 2010 on down, from 2010 to 2020, we've only had 1 winning season.
Yep, that was 19, I think. That was it.
So these are not my opinions; these are facts.
I agree. I know.
Yeah. So at this point, when people keep talking about back in the day, this wasn't that long ago. 2007, 2009 and stuff. We were kicking butt and taking names. We ain't got to go back to 1992. Okay. When there are pictures in the newspaper were in color and stuff on the internet where you can see us. It ain't like you got to go back to a black and white newspaper from 1994.
You really don't.
Right.
You can go back about 15 years. You can go back not even 15 years. You can go back 10 years.
2009 was the last year that we made hay in the playoffs. Now in 2013 we did get the second round of the playoffs. We lost to Havelock. Yeah, you went to the game with me. But but my point is, and everything I just gave you is facts, and I gave you numbers, and those numbers can be validated, and I know those numbers are accurate. I don't have to look it up.
Let's break it down. Like, okay, since you said we had made the playoffs, had multiple winning seasons above 8 games.
Yep, out of those you had 6 in that time. In that decade, you had 7 and from 2000 to 2009, you had 7 seasons where you won at least 10 games.
Yep.
7 seasons where you right. Hold on, because let me get that right. Hold on. 2000, you won at least 10 games. 06, 07, 08, 09. My bad. Had 5 seasons where you won at least 10 games.
10 games.
Yeah. And then with the 8 games, let's see, 2000, 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Had 7 seasons where you at least won 8 games in that decade.
And let me say this, I was part of those 2004, 5, and not was 2004, 5.
You're part of 2000. You played on the 2004 and 5 teams.
Yeah, so I was part of those 7 to 8 wins that we had those years.
And for those kids, and we talked about this with Jackson. For those kids, talk about you can't get exposure from colleges playing at Anson. That's a lie. That's a lie and inaccuracy. Don't blame it on exposure. Blame it on take some self accountability. Because if you can't get exposure playing Anson, Then why did Barquero Rivers later recruited by Virginia Tech to become a starting middle linebacker there? Why did Trent Sturman win SEC Freshman of the Year at Georgia? And made the freshman All-American team. Why did Michael Bowman become a starting wide receiver at East Carolina? Why did Marcus Ham-Smith become a starting nose tackle at Texas Tech? Why did Trey Thomas get recruited by Clemson? Why did Stephon Anthony become the number one outside linebacker per ESPN and a five-star prospect and went on to become an All-ACC player at Clemson and went on to become a first-round draft pick and played 5 years in the NFL? If you can't get exposure, Anson, how did Brandon Illiver become a starting safety at UNC at Chapel Hill? If you can't get exposure in Anson County, tell me how.
Timmy Horn.
How did Cedric Holt become a starting cornerback at the University of North Carolina if you can't get exposure in Anson County? Tell me how.
I don't see how they can't.
Tell me how. How did DeJuan Polk become a starting defensive tackle at Clemson if you can't get exposure playing in Anson County? Tell me how.
And now DeJuan Polk is like one of the.
He's in management with Jacksonville Jaguars.
The Jaguars.
He's like third down from the general manager. So tell me how.
That's big. That you could say had third from whatever. That's huge.
So tell me how. I know he's a high ranking position in the front office when it comes to personnel.
Yeah, so that says a lot. He knows talent.
Right. So tell me how.
I can say this, and I love the class before me and my class and the 07 class, but I'll tell you this. That those teams McMahon had, they were special, man.
And you know what? And speaking of McMahon was a heck of a coach. When McMahon took over in 07, we lost 33 seniors, including 3 D1 prospects.
Yep.
And all we had Dennis Rory returning quarterback, who was up and down the year before. Under McMahon, Dennis Rory went on to win the South Piedmont Conference MVP.
And he deserved it.
Very much so. My point is, and that was offense. That was a team full with a lot of sophomores. Stephon Anthony was a freshman. You had Marshall Exeter Little, who was a senior. You had like Rashawn Rory, who was like a sophomore. You had a lot of young players on that team, and they went on to win an outright conference title and got to the third round of the playoffs. When other people, including guys like my friend Nelson and my friend James and stuff, who had just left, were trying to say, "Oh, they're gonna be sorry because they lost all of them." And that team went on to win 11 games and won the conference championship. And then when guys and Nelson, my buddy, so I don't mind saying this, when Nelson tried to criticize, said, "Oh, well, the competition they're playing wasn't as strong." I like they got to the third round of the playoffs. So what's the excuse now? At the end of the day, that team was an excellent team and they got the job done.
Look, and with that, we saying that, I'll say this too. That offensive line.
That offensive line they had the 08 season could have played against any defense. That offensive line, when Patrick Pope was and Jamie Bennett and DJ Elby running behind that line, you could drive a Mack truck through those holes.
And that was and Jamie Bennett was a dog.
Yeah, shout out to Jamie Bennett. He recently got promoted with the Marshville PD. I'm proud of him. I grew up in church with him. He's doing excellent things in society, doing excellent things for himself. And the proof that don't matter just because you're from Anson County doesn't mean that you can't find a successful role in life. So he's doing excellent things, and Marshville has an excellent young man on their police force.
Yeah, man. I'll say this: those two corners. Who is it? Dante Fordham and DJ.
Dante Fordham, DJ Ellerby were excellent corners.
Yes, 1-2 tandem.
But let's go back to your class of corners. You had Travis Huntley and Travis Dean, and nobody, and this I'm cool with both of those guys. I like them. So what I'm saying is both of them were still competitive. My point is nobody was considered them as like big time D1 corners or look at them like that, but they still competed. Like for example, one thing I like about Travis Huntley, if Travis Huntley had a play that didn't go the way he wanted it, he didn't whine and cry about it. On the same game, he would come back and have a pick six.
Yep.
And
wasn't the fastest person at all.
He had good ball skill.
He got good ball. Yeah, he was good with the ball.
He had good eyes and good ball skill. And
yep.
and Travis and when Travis had a knack for tracking the ball and jumping routes to intercept it, and he would take it to the house too. The point I'm making, I've seen times in a game where Travis might have a play where the receiver scored a touchdown, but he didn't whine and cry about it. He would come back the next series and get a pick six.
Yeah, ready to go. He got a hard hitting safety in Quentin Cable.
Right. Travis Dean was another competitive corner. Like if there was because if you're a corner, there are gonna be times when somebody's gonna beat you. But those guys didn't whine and complain. If they got beaten, they would come back and make a play in the same game and make big plays.
Yeah.
Same thing with QC, Quentin Cable. Quentin Cable, if he got beat on the play, he came back and made a play in the same game and make up for it.
And hit you and make you think about going across the middle a little bit.
Right. But like Coach Jackson said at the time, there are going to be plays that don't go in your favor. You're going to make bad plays. You're going to have slip ups. The key is how do you respond to it? Do you let it avalanche you? You continue to make mistakes, or do you bounce back? Guys like Travis Huntley, Travis Dean, Quentin Cable, they had a competitive spirit, and they had a competitive spirit where if something didn't go their way, they bounced back and they made plays.
He said, "How many pros from the neck of y'all woods ain't tripping?"
Let me answer that.
Go ahead, you got it.
As far as on NFL roster, and I'm only gonna go guys who made an NFL roster, who actually made and I ain't talking practice squad or whatever. Former Kansas City Chiefs offensive lineman and Detroit Lions offensive lineman David Luke, second round draft pick out of Georgia Tech, played 12 years in the league. Steph Anthony, former linebacker, played at Clemson, first round draft pick in 2015. Played 5 years in the league, 4 with the Saints and 1 with the Dolphins, or maybe 2 with the Dolphins. Maybe played 6 years, but you get my point. And currently, what's the kid name? Timmy Horn, who's the defensive tackle for the Atlanta Falcons. He's in the second year in the league. He's definitely the defensive line rotation, so he's there too. So as far as to make NFL rosters, there are 3 that I know of, and I'm talking about guys who graduated from Anson High School. I'm not talking about like someone who may have started out at Anson and then they moved when they were 4 years old. So I'm talking about guys who actually graduated from Anson Senior High School. That's actually in the National Football League. Yeah, Quentin Cable, very smart in the classroom too. So that's my classmate. We had a lot of classes together. A cerebral guy and fun-loving jokester too, man. I used to. One thing I love about QC is he never took criticism personally, and what I mean by that is like he took criticism as a challenge. So if you said like QC, I saw you get burned, he took that as a challenge. Like, oh, I'm gonna show you on Friday. He didn't whine or cry about nothing. QC, if you got at him, he just went out and showed you.
Greg Flowers is look.
Man, Greg Flowers as a running back, man, was a bread truck, man. When Greg was a good linebacker too. Sometimes ball security sometimes was an issue, but as far as power, when you had Greg Flowers and Michael Bowman, Greg was the thunder and Michael was the lightning.
Yep. And it would run you over.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, man, you got to think that lineage, all those people within that, from that 2000 to 09, you had a lot of this talent.
Yes, you did.
A lot of talent. I mean, you can't even count your hands.
Look how many D1 players from that time frame. I'm gonna count them all. And when I say D1, I'm talking about FBS. I'm not talking about FCS. So I'm gonna run some off. Starting from 2000, from that I'm talking about what the 2001. From that, I'm just gonna name players from that played from 2000 2009 who played D1 ball, and I mean FBS ball. We'll start with Cedric Holt, played at Carolina, started there. Of course, the 3 from your era, Barkwell, Trenton, and Michael. Yeah. That's 4 right there. Yeah. Then when we go to Stephon and Trey, that's 5 and 6. Marcus Smith, that's 7. Am I missing anybody?
Nah, DJ played FCS.
Brandon Ellery, that's 8.
Yeah, DJ played FCS.
No, DJ played. Oh yeah, DJ did. Yeah, but Brandon.
So no, like Brandon, FBS, but DJ could have played the FBS. Honestly, I mean, it was the size, but
right. So that's 8 guys I just ran off right there that all played major college football for FBS programs.
And that ain't kind of FCS because you had multiple FCS players.
Right. Then when you get guys like Nelson, Rashawn, Rory, and all those guys who played who were good FCS players too. You talking about look how many guys played college ball. They just got college scholarships in general from that era.
A lot.
So when a kid tell me that you can't get exposure to Anson, that's a lie.
All the guys was from my Cadillac backseat tree. I wouldn't let them be soft.
I feel you, man. That's your crew.
But again, though, man, like they it wasn't. So I look at it like this. I think now they think that kind of thing is punishment, but we had fun. I don't care how you looked at it, being out there over the summer with people, that you went to school with and tour days and all that kind of stuff. That's what built that camaraderie, man. It's no camaraderie. I don't see it. It's not the same. It's like I'm just here to play football just because. In some cases, I'm not gonna say everybody, because you probably have a few out there that's actually passionate. But in some cases, you got a few out there just say, I just want to wear the uniform just because. So I can say I play football and get a letters on my jacket.
Yeah, but also on the flip side, the staff is going to have to find out the strengths and weaknesses of their personnel, and have to find out what personnel does what best, and put the focus on putting that personnel in a position to where it can utilize the strengths the best. It may not align with what your intention was coming out of camp. It may not align with how you drew it up. But at the end of the day, you're trying to win ball games. For example, the 2006 Concord team got off to an 0-3 start. They had Jimmy Dry playing quarterback, they had D-Boss playing wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Smith reevaluated his team and realized what the strengths of his team was, and he made a switch. He moved D-Boss to the quarterback and moved Jimmy Dry to wide receiver. And when he made that switch, the team, he saw that the offensive chemistry picked up. That team went on to win 13 games in a row, went on to win a state championship in dominant fashion.
Yeah.
That's evaluating your personnel and realizing that, hey, I didn't have everybody in the position that best utilized their strengths. So now I'm going to swallow my pride and make the switch and move people to the position that best suits their strengths. Went on to win 13 games and won state championship. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to flip a switch and
Oh
win
no, I'm not saying
13 games in a row and win a state championship. But what I'm saying is that if you're evaluating your personnel and you're seeing that, hey, maybe if this person's strength is better here, it's not too late to make a move, and who knows, that one move here or one move there could change the trajectory of the entire season.
And I would say this too, because there was another young man, and I ain't gonna say young man because he ain't too much younger than me. That was also what year? I'm gonna say 09. He was definitely he didn't. I don't think he got recruited, but he was definitely looked at by D1 scouts. Good defensive lineman too. And you probably know what I'm talking about. I think he was probably going to Baylor, maybe.
He was a linebacker, but yeah.
Linebacker, that's okay.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm talking about now. That was
I think
somebody that was
Baylor. I'm not gonna call his name, but Baylor wanted to give him an offer, but he couldn't. They wanted him to get his SAT scores. It was Baylor. It was a Power 5 school. I just can't remember which one. Maybe Baylor. But they wanted him to get his SAT scores up, and they were gonna give him an offer. Unfortunately, I don't think that materialized. I know who the young man is because a mutual friend of mine knows him and connected me with him. And I was in college at the time, like a senior. But I offered, our man just graduated, but I offered to that, hey, man, I'll tutor you and help you prepare for the SAT so you can get your score up. He never followed me up on that offer.
Gotcha.
And I was going to do it for free.
Yeah,
I was back in Waynesboro because I just graduated from college, so I was back in Waynesboro at the time for at least for a few months. And, or it might have been during the summer, whatever. I was going to help him. I might have been a senior. Nevertheless, I was in Waynesboro for a few months at the time. And I was going to help him for free. I was going to help him, going to tutor him and help him prepare for the SAT so he could get to see if we could help him get his scores up and get a scholarship because I wanted another person from Anson also. But that never materialized. But the kid you're talking about, at time to play with Anson, is extremely talented.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was definitely one of them. And like I said, it's
I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah, it's a lot of it was a lot of talent in that time, and I'm not gonna say it wasn't now. It's just it's different. I put it that way.
And Anson's deficiencies is not an issue of lack of talent. It's an issue of lack of continuity and lack of discipline, and sometimes I think lack of commitment.
I can agree with it. He
And
says,
like and Coach Jackson's in a situation where it's not 2009. Things are a lot different and things are a lot worse. And he's put in a position where there are a lot of other factors that he's trying to battle with in order to keep his team together.
he's saying,
And sometimes I think
audio.
running and I think it also becomes frustrating. And I think a lot of that contributes to what you see on the field.
Yeah, he's saying something. Your voice on a CB now. Or something wrong with the audio? I hear it quite fine.
So I don't sound like a robot.
Nah, not on my end. You sound okay to me.
Okay, because usually you let me know when I sound like a robot.
Yeah, you sound fine. I can't. I hear it fine. Anybody else hear it? Does it sound kind of?
Yeah, somebody talk to me.
Yeah, I can hear him clear. StreamYard does stuff like that, so I'm not gonna say y'all hear something different. It probably could be. I just can't hear it on my end because we technically it's syndicating to YouTube, so it may be something that's on StreamYard, but it sounds fine on our end.
What does CB stand for?
Like a radio, like a walkie-talkie. Yeah, I hear you fine. I mean,
Yeah, because usually when my sound gets weird, you can tell when it's weird. You'll tell me that my voice is sounding weird or you can't hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you good. I don't know. Maybe it's like I said. Sometimes StreamYard acts crazy. I don't know what's been going on with StreamYard, but
Like,
you
hey, if
know,
it's anything, I would say he can let us know.
yeah, I'll let you know. But anybody else hear
Oh
something
yeah,
funny?
anybody out there, Jermaine or whoever else is out there, what score to JV game?
Anybody got the update on the JV game? And I'm gonna who's 71st play tomorrow, Ant? I know they still everybody's still in non-conference right now, so
Yeah, unless you're one of those teams that got like 9 teams here. I
Cardinal
remember back in
give
the day,
it.
man, in like '08, Anson only played 3 non-conference games because they had 8 conference games they had to play because it was a 9-team league.
Then you got yeah, Cardinal. I know Cardinal Gibbons gonna be down this way tomorrow. Good luck to them.
Who Cardinal Gibbons playing?
The people across the river.
I've been blow out.
Oh yeah. I think they got blowed out every game this year.
Yeah, they lost 53-13 last week. 50-13 last week.
Oh wow. That's early.
Hey, so you idle. It's Labor Day weekend, man. Pull up in your little red windbreaker tomorrow, man. Your red polo tomorrow.
You coming down this way tomorrow, ain't? I'll be at the game. I know I'm be at this one. I'm going to Albemarle game.
I know he's gonna be sitting with the other Anthony and they're gonna be talking that good talk and stuff.
I mean, I like getting a honest, somebody that understands football. Everybody can't talk football.
Right. Well, one thing about Anthony's a gem, not only because he's football savvy, but he's also a great intellectual. You talk about a man that graduated from Florida State University with his master's, man, got a principal license. This is a man that our young men should aspire to be like. So,
yeah.
So he's a guy who played football and he used his football to propel him to higher heights. And now he's a highly educated man who still is connected to his football roots. So he's showing you that you can still have your love for football, embrace football, be involved in football, and also prioritize your education as well, which he has done.
Yeah, you definitely can.
If I'm not mistaken, a young man from Auburn, North Carolina, and doing the things he's doing now.
Yeah, that's why I said anybody can do anything, and like he made a good point. I gotta find it. Like they'll find you. You don't have to move. They will come to you. And he ain't lying about that. You don't have to move around. They'll come to you.
But this song said they'll find you anywhere in this whole wide world. Same thing with players trying to get into the NFL. I don't care if you play for Alabama or whether you play for Wingate College. If you're good enough to play in the NFL will find you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, I knew. So from there, I'll be with him thinking about Cape Fear versus Terry Sanford tomorrow.
You know you don't have that on the screen.
Oh shoot, my bad. I'm sorry. I thought I clicked it.
Terry Sanford Governors and the Cape Fear Colts. That's a conference thing. Oh, they must have a conference opponent coming. I got you. Like you want to scout them.
Yeah. He ain't wrong. That's what you call preparing. doing your due diligence. So, yeah, I mean, honestly though, tomorrow.
Cape Fear used to be a powerhouse back like in the early mid-90s.
What you say?
Cape Fear used to be a powerhouse back in the early mid-90s.
They're 4A, right? Or they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, the coach that turned them into a power, he came from Promotion Way, back from Promotion Way to Red Davis as a powerhouse. That guy went on to Cape Fear and turned it and had a program there too. A lot of people who back in like the early mid-90s on Promotion Way used to have a squad, but that's another discussion.
But
they get a lot of intense down there too. So.
Yeah, but Damar is win now. That's the word.
Yeah, the word. Should be winning tomorrow, and then before we're ready anything else, let's take care of tomorrow. We have to take care of the task at hand.
Tomorrow is, I put it like this: tomorrow is 0-0. Do you want to be on this side of the dash, or you want to be on this side of the dash?
Yeah. All I care about is getting a W. I don't care if the score is 10-9 or if the score is 41-0.
Win is a win.
As long as at the end of the day that W is an our call, we fix whatever later.
Oh, Cape Fear 3A now.
Man, Tasha, Scotland County 3A, West Charlotte 3A.
That's why I want to get him on the show because I want to know how this new allegedly 6A classification is going to work.
It ain't that hard to figure out. It's just less schools in each classification.
Okay, so
like teams are like a team like Mallet Creek would be 6A. That's 4A now. A team that's like Scotland County would probably be like 5A. A team like
Cardinal Gibbons.
A team like us would be like 3A. That's all. Because it ain't got all it is just it's less teams in each qualification, and that hasn't been finalized.
He said 3A Fight Club. Well, that's the conference with the most teams in it, 3A.
It's large classification.
Yeah, that's
one A is so small. Basically, every team there was a team that went 10 last year still made the playoffs. And so that's what North Carolina Athletic Association got to be smart. If you know you only got like 60 teams in the classification, you only 64 teams to make the playoffs. If you only got 70 teams in the classification, you can't have 64 teams make the playoffs. You can't have 0-10 teams making playoffs. That's ridiculous. That's rewarding mediocrity and failure. That's they put a star on somebody saying that everybody's a winner. That type of crap.
Yeah.
First of all, a 64-team playoff is ridiculous anyway. Go back to the old days when you had 32 teams making 16 from the East, 16 from the West, call it a day. If you don't qualify, you don't qualify. You had 10 effing games to get where you need to get to. If you don't win enough games to get where you need to get to, tough mess.
But this is a participation society now.
Yes, it is. I remember one time there was some school in Fayetteville. I don't know if it was a football game or a softball game or whatever, but the score was something lopsided, like 80-something-0, and the coach got fired. The winning coach got fired for doing that. It was somewhere in Fayetteville. Harris might know what the fuck it was.
Wait, he got fired for the score being what?
It was like 80-something-0 or something like that. I can't remember what sport it was. But Anthony, if you remember, there was a coach. It was about maybe 8-9 years ago in Fayetteville where a coach either got fired or suspended because for running up the score or something like that.
I didn't know there was a rule against it.
There is no rule against it. That school made that rule.
Okay, we'll do that. We talk about that 6A projection. Exclusive for you guys. Okay.
All right, sounds good.
Sounds cool to me. Yeah. Hey, so basically, he was winning. He got fired.
He got punished. He got fired or suspended. I can't remember. He did suffer punishment and for running up the score. It was in the Fayetteville area. I just can't. This was like maybe 8-9 years ago. I just can't remember who it was. And I remember years ago when Central Bears softball coach got suspended because for running up the score for a softball game too. This is how I feel about running up the score. First of all, I think there's no such thing as running up the score. I said if both teams got 11 guys out there, like Coach Spurrier said one time, he said it's not my job to stop my team from scoring.
Said that lopsided wins before my time.
Okay. But like Coach Steve Spurrier said, it's not my job to stop my team from scoring. When Monroe beat Fort Hill Sun Valley years ago, like 90-something to nothing. When Kannapolis beat Northwest Cabarrus 97-0.
Yep, I remember that on TV.
Yeah, like the coach said, like I got 11 guys on the field, you got 11 on the field. It's like, it's not my job to stop my team.
I think I was 10 years, maybe I probably was 10 years old when that happened. It was like 97.
Yeah, and then Mount Pleasant beat Central Academy of Technology and Arts. I refuse to call them what other people call them. They beat Central Academy of Technology and Arts 96 to nothing back in 07.
You talking about that C word?
Yeah, I'm not calling them that because I'm like, that's lazy. I can't stand laziness with abbreviations and stuff.
Do they even got a football team now?
Nope. And they're a 3A school. They don't even have no players to fill the team.
I don't get that.
Because they're not really an athletic driven school. I don't even know they fielded the JV this year. But they haven't fielded a team in like 2 years, and they're one of the 3A schools in the conference. I mean, we still playing in basketball and everything else.
So that's why we had that odd number in the conference last year.
Yeah, and this year too. And ordinarily that's why we were able to use their stadium. You remember when we were doing construction on our stadium that time? We played at Walter Bickett Stadium, which was their home stadium. Yeah, we played at Walter Bickett because they weren't using it, so they let us use it.
Okay. We scored 71 3 times since I've been here, and every time we were trying not to score.
Hey, it's appropriate to score 71 since the school is 71st. Right there on Highway 401. But I think, yeah.
It's on 401.
Yeah, here's the thing about it. Don't get me wrong. Now, if the team ain't got no timeouts, you can kneel the ball down. Yeah, don't throw an 80-yard bomb down the field. There's no point in that. But I'm saying, if there's 5 minutes left in the game, you're up 70-0. I'm not going to kneel the ball down with 5 minutes left. I mean, I'm still going to run offense. Because here's the thing about it. If I got a backup quarterback in the game, that backup quarterback needs reps too. So
if he scores, he's starting.
Right, that backup quarterback needs reps too. There might be a time I might actually need him in a meaningful situation, so I need to get him meaningful reps because there are going to be times where I may need him. So like, if I got an opportunity to get him reps and get him in a rhythm, I'm going to utilize that time. Because if you're a coach, I feel like you should never stop coaching. You shouldn't stop coaching the last 5 minutes of a game just because the other team can't keep up with you. It's not your job to stop your team from scoring.
And on top of that, it's a running clock after a certain amount anyway, right?
Yeah, once the team go up by 42 points, it's a continuous clock. They changed that to stop those kind of blowouts.
No.
The way Independence and Albemarle used to blow teams up.
Yeah, they definitely.
I remember Albemarle beat Chapel Central like 84-0, 82-0 and stuff.
Hey man,
glory days of Albemarle.
I
ain't gonna knock Albemarle. They almost beat us this year. So I can say that.
Personally, I don't see nothing wrong with scoring that many points.
I don't either.
I mean, that's part of the game. I can see if you stick out your starters in the fourth quarter. But if you got your third string and they scored you 20 points and
think about it, why would you tell your third stringers not to play hard? They don't get to play. They're practicing hard and they finally get a chance to play, and you're gonna tell them but don't play hard?
No, y'all go ball out.
Like you gonna tell them don't try? You're going to tell your third string quarterback, don't try. You're going to tell your third string running back, if you get near the end zone, get down on your knee, don't try. They work hard and practice hard too, but they might not be as talented as the starters. And so they finally get an opportunity, and you're going to tell them, don't seize that opportunity?
I would. I seize all I can.
Plus, they're trying to impress the coaches to see if they can get more playing time. So you're going to tell them to not try?
If they do, they're crazy. That's all I got to say.
Right, I don't understand the logic behind that. That's this poor participation trophy. Everybody's feelings get hurt. Sorry society that we live in today.
I can't stand like, man. I honestly, and I'll say this. I'm not being funny. If you under 500, you don't deserve to be in the playoffs.
True for the most part.
The most part.
Like, let's say if you went like 4-2 in your conference. That I think that I can live with that. So
Okay, well that's fine. That's okay. But if you went,
now, if you went 4-6 and 1-4 in your conference, no, you don't deserve to be in the playoffs.
but we see teams like that get in.
Hell, we did it last year. Let's not front.
That's true. Well, we went two.
We went what 2-3? No, we didn't win no two conference games. Who the hell would be twice? I mean, what two conference games we won?
I think we won.
The only conference game we won was against West Stanley, last game of the season.
I thought we won another one.
We lost to Parkwood. We lost to Forest Hills. We lost to Monroe.
Oh yeah, we did win one.
We played 6 non-conference games and 4 conference games. We went 3-3 in non-conference and went 1-3 in conference.
Oh well, we did get in there. I'm tripping.
Yeah, because of that BS 64 team playoff. Go back to a 32 team playoff.
Yeah, I 4-2 holds more weight in conferences, but like you said, that RPI crap, you get in based off of that.
Well, that ain't the reason. The reason is because that ain't the RPI, the FPI part ain't got nothing to do with it. Even if you didn't have the FPI, if a classification only got 90 teams in it and 64 of them make the playoffs, you shouldn't have 67% of your teams making the playoffs.
That's the whole.
Right. That's the problem. When 67% of your teams are making the playoffs, when nearly 70%, or more than that, really, close to 70%, because you're talking about a 90. When nearly 70% or 70+% of your teams are making the playoffs, when that happens, you're bound to have teams with losing records get in.
And see, that was crazy when they used to do the AA classification. Now you got what?
Well, that's still the same thing. It's still 64 teams. 32 in AA, so it's still 64 teams, whether you do it like you got it now. But back in the old days, just only 32 teams made it, 16 from the East, 16 from the West. And what bothered me with a 64 team playoff, and when you got 64 teams in each classification making playoffs, that means you got the vast majority, an overwhelming majority of all of the programs making the playoffs. The playoffs are supposed to be a level of exclusivity.
For the best of the best.
It's supposed to be where you're separating the good teams from the mediocre and the bad. But the way we have it set up in North Carolina, we reward mediocrity.
Because think about it. Like you said, you put 64 teams, 32 East, 32 West. And if you look at, like you said, the 2A is 90, it's what, 90-something teams maybe?
Roughly something like that. Like 1A is only about 70 teams.
So that's the whole 1A. Everybody.
Last year. You had a team that went 0-10 to make playoffs last year.
That's impossible.
It happened.
What team was this? I need to see.
I don't know. Somebody from South Stanley was telling me about it at the scrimmage, and because South Stanley made it last year, I think at 1-9. So congratulations, South Stanley. Congratulations, Coach Schenkel. They got their first win and probably secured a playoff spot with that.
Come on. I think they win more than one game, dude. I got faith.
Well, who all they played? They might they play like South Davidson and people like that. They'll probably beat them. They'll probably beat Union Academy, so that's 3.
That's 3. That's playoff eligible.
They play Chatham Central or something like that. That's probably 4.
Then they start conference.
Yeah, but those are teams I'm naming from the Yadkin Valley Conference. The Yadkin Valley Conference is probably one of the worst conferences in all of in all of high school football.
Oh. Well, if they win that conference, that's probably the first conference.
They're not going to win that conference. Mount Pleasant's going to win that conference.
Oh.
It's going to be that conference is going to come down to whoever wins between Mount Pleasant and North Stanley is going to win that conference.
It's 64 teams or 64%, both.
It's not both. It can't be both. 64 out of 100 is 64%. 64 teams in a classification make playoffs in North Carolina, but in most classifications, you don't have over 90 teams.
Well, if you look at it in 1A, like you said, you have a 70. If 64 made it, you basically had what 90
something. I'm not about to do math. My point is that how can you call that a playoff when you got that many? And they do it on purpose because more games mean more money, more gates is all that is. But the playoffs should go back to being something that's exclusive, something that you have to earn, something that's hard to get to. That's why I didn't like it when they added a 7th team to the NFL playoffs.
I agree.
The playoffs should be something that's hard to get to. That's why I hated when they added that play-in tournament to the NBA playoffs. You shouldn't be making it easier to make the playoffs.
Did you see that?
You got an NBA now where 10 teams got a chance to get in the playoffs.
Do you see the thing they were talking about doing now with the in-season?
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that.
NBA is becoming
Well, he's trying to turn it into Premier League soccer, but the point I'm making, and like with NFL, when they add the 7th team to the AFC NFC playoffs, why are you rewarding mediocrity by adding teams to the playoffs, trying to make it easier to make the playoffs?
Yeah,
the percentage higher with a Dylan. North Carolina football. we allowed nearly 70% of all programs to make the playoffs.
So
That's why
college.
you have teams that won 4 effing games and they end up in the playoffs.
I
Like
want
us
to
last
find
year.
out. I want to find out who that 0-10 team was last year.
And look, and then we get a free trip somewhere just to get our tails handed to us like we did last year.
Yeah, that was definitely that's one of them ones. Yeah, that was over early.
Yeah, 42-0 at halftime. We left the game at halftime, didn't we? No, we left it in that third quarter.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It was over. It was over anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that team. Well, I don't know what they're doing now, but that team, they had our number, and we knew that.
But they were better. I mean, that's all it was to it. They were
I mean,
better.
yeah, they were undefeated for a
We
reason.
didn't even deserve to even be in that game.
We didn't. Well, you know
We
what?
were like the 63rd team to get in.
I hope they do go back to the 16 team format.
I hope they go back to just 16, like no subdivision or nothing, just East and West, 16 from the East, 16 from the
16
West.
32 in total, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
like
then you'll have
let me finish, and the criteria should be like all conference champions get in based on the size of your conference. If you play like in an 8-team league, you should get 3 bids. If you play like in a 5-team league, you should only get 2 bids. If you play in a 4-team league or something like that, you should only get 1 bid. That type, like they used to do.
We need 3
like
more.
Our conference, we played this year. We're going to be playing how many games? 5 conference games.
5, yeah. 5.
So that means we're in a 16 league. A 16 league usually can get 2 bids. So it should be like the way it would be. It should be like with our conference, top 2 teams get in. If you don't finish the top 2, you don't make it. Sorry.
That's how it used to be.
Right. And when we played in the Southeastern Conference, it was like an 18 league. I mean, a 17 league. We got 3 bids. Top 3 teams automatically got in. If you didn't finish in the top 3 in the conference, you didn't make the playoffs.
And we got in. We finished top 3 every chance we could get.
Let me tell you what happened in 2000. In 2000, Anson, Scotland, and Hoke all finished 7-3 and all went 4-2. Richmond Senior went 10-0 and 6-0, so they were the number 1 seed out the conference. They got the first bid, so there were 2 other bids up for grabs. So Anson, Scotland, and Hoke all went 7-3, 4-2 in the league. Anson beat Scotland, Scotland beat Hoke, but Hoke beat Anson. So that presented you with an I beat you, you beat them, they beat me scenario. So that means you have only 2 bids left, but 3 teams vying for 2 bids, and there was no tiebreaker for all 3 of them. I beat you, you beat them, they beat me. So they had to draw for it. So they drew for it. So as the result of the draw, Anson got the 2nd bid behind Richmond Senior. Scotland got the 3rd bid, and Hoke County had to stay home. No, let me take that back. Anson got the 2nd bid. Hoke County got the 3rd bid, and Scotland County had to stay home. They went 7-3, 4-2 in their league, and they had to stay home. And someone might say, well, that's not fair. I said you had 10 games, 6 conference games to get where you needed to be. You didn't get where you needed to be, so be it. Nah, man, I don't play fantasy football.
I told you I didn't play fantasy.
Nick tried to get several friends to try to get me to it, but I appreciate the compliment. Another scenario, back like in 1997 and 1998, Concord and Kannapolis, they were a 1 bid league, so only the conference champion got to make playoffs.
Right.
Concord was 9-0 going into the last game of the season on a rainstorm, lost Kannapolis 5-0. That Concord team finished 9-1 and finished like 3-2-1 in the conference, or 3-1 in the conference. Kannapolis finished 4-0 in the conference. Kannapolis got the playoff bid. Concord went 9-1 and got left home that year.
I know Easy Smith was pissed.
Yeah, so I mean, but that's a rare scenario. But go back to those days. But back then,
that drove competition.
It drove competition, and it highlighted the importance of each individual game, and it definitely highlighted the importance of your conference games.
Yeah.
Someone might say we took away from the meaning of non-conference games, but still, non-conference games matter because your overall record will help increase your overall seed once because, for example, conference champions always got seeded first. So the conference champion that had the better overall record got seeded higher than the conference champion who had a record that wasn't as good. So, but it maximized the importance of your games and your conference games because you knew that those conference games your margin for error was so slim. I'm a Carolina Panthers fan, man. That's my favorite NFL team. I live here. I'm here in Charlotte, so.
For 49ers fan, baby.
I'm a Charlotte 49er, University of North Carolina at Charlotte 49ers, coached by Coach Biff Poggi. Step on the field for our season opener Saturday against the South Carolina State Bulldogs. South Carolina State's going to take that check and run back to Orangeburg with a whoop. You know what?
Well, they definitely got a whoop last week.
And South Carolina State played last week.
Yeah, they played Jackson State.
That's what they played.
Yeah, Jacks, they blowed them out.
What about to get blown out again? And they're gonna get
I,
a
I,
check for it. And your
I'll
wife
say
go down
this
there.
though.
Your wife can check on them, make sure they're good down there in
She,
Orangeburg.
she could care less, I promise.
I know she'll Coast Carolina fan, right?
Yeah, she coaches.
And alum, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yes, I got you.
But my thing is, like you said, I brought up a good point about the non-conference. Like a lot of these teams put this, oh man, non-conference, it's not important. It's very important.
Yes, it is.
It's very
The
important.
overall win total.
Yeah, that's like you said, seeding. Seeding is everything. Like
See,
I'm
because
trying.
this is how they do it. This part's still the same. They still seed the conference champions first.
Right.
And then with your overall record, even with the FPI thing, your overall record impacts that rating. So they seed the conference champions first, and then they seed the conference champions by the FPI rating. And
Man, look,
the more wins you accumulate, the better off you are when you're trying to battle for seeding. What do you say?
talk about a bit 50 against the Jets, straight up, no point spread, just a W.
I don't bet on games, man. I done seen too much wacky stuff happen, bro.
You better have my $50 when the damn season over with.
Better have my money.
I told the Patriots gonna beat the hell out of the Jets. He keep thinking Aaron
I
Rodgers.
don't know about that.
He keep thinking Aaron Rodgers is the savior.
I just know it's just that Mac Jones certainly ain't. And as long as Mac Jones is your quarterback, y'all gonna be limited in what you do offensively.
I think we'll beat him.
I think you win by 8 or 9 games, probably 8 games. The Patriots.
It's better than last year.
How many y'all win last year?
I think 7.
Y'all mediocre team, like around. That's about what their ceiling's around there. 7 or 8. That's what.
I just want to win a division.
Well, that's not gonna happen. Who won? Buffalo probably win the division. I think Buffalo's not gonna be as. I don't think Buffalo's gonna be as good this year, though. I think Buffalo wins about 9 or 10 games. I say Buffalo goes 10-7.
What about
That'll
Miami?
get the division.
Middle of the pack.
Huh?
I think Miami be the middle of the pack.
It depends on if Tagovailoa can avoid hitting his head in the dirt again.
Yes.
I've never seen him do that. Every time he gets sacked, his head slams straight to the ground. Every time. He got to be the most unlucky. I ain't never seen someone just get concussions all the time. It's like every time he gets hit, his head bounces right off the turf.
He got mad at Ryan Clark.
Yeah, I mean, Clark apologized to him. But like Tagovailoa, and speaking of Tagovailoa, we'll see his brother, the Charlotte 49ers, in week 2 play the Maryland Terrapins, led by Talil Tagovailoa. They beat us last year down here in Charlotte. I think we're going to get our get back when we go up there this year. We got a revamped roster with like 6 former Maryland players on it, and we're going up to College Park to get our get back. So, and we're going to lay the lumber on Talil Tagovailoa, the brother of Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, but I me personally, back to, but yeah, those non-conference games mean everything.
Every game, I mean, your goal should be to attempt to win whatever game you're in. Your goal should be to win that game, whether we're Anson County playing against a loaded Richmond County team, or whether we're Anson County playing against a depleted Central Academy of Technology and Arts. The goal and objective should be to win the game, and it should be coached and played with the attempt to win the game. What did Coach Herman ever say?
We play to
win the game.
But my thing is, I don't just want to make the playoffs. I want a home game in the playoffs, at least one.
Well, not only do I want a home game, I want to win the home game and then win the next.
Well, yeah, I get that, but if I'm jogging, like I'm not just wanting, like I'm not trying to be.
If you win enough games in the regular season, you'll get a home game.
I know, that's what I'm saying, but some teams it's like you said, participation. We
you ever heard that old gospel and the old people sing about them sending up my temple?
Yep.
And think of it as like you're sending up your temple. So like each game, when you played against North Stanley, that was an opportunity to send a little bit of your temple up for that home game. When you played against Sun Valley, that was another opportunity to send up a little bit of your temple so you can have that home prepared for you when the playoffs get here. But you got a game against North Rand tomorrow. That's another opportunity to send another brick up for your temple so you can have that home game. If you keep losing those games, you ain't gonna have no temple.
Nah, you gonna have now. Be the out there looking for a hood.
You're gonna be outside looking in.
Yeah,
and that's a bad feeling.
Yeah, but as a former student athlete, I hate the energy that it brings now. It's not. that passion of the crowd. Those Friday nights where you had to park on the side of the road. That's
I
not.
remember that too, Nick.
I miss it.
I miss it too.
I miss it.
Man, when you go to games now, man, you can stretch, you can lay down, take a nap. You got room to do everything. You can lay your legs up.
Like Charles Barkley,
There's enough
park
room
right by
for
the
Victor
stadium.
Wembanyama can stretch his legs out and take a nap in the stadium and not get his feet on anybody.
I'm like Charles Barkley now. You can park right by the stadium. You can move down by center court.
You sure can.
Yes. I mean, it's not funny, but I remember the times that place was so hard to find a parking place. You had to walk.
So do I. I remember when people were trying to go to park down toward the Armory and stuff sometimes. I can remember those days.
Yep. Well, you keep talking about this bet. I'm a damn block.
Some people try to park down Kitty Bennett and stuff.
Yep. I remember the biggest crowd. We'll probably never see it again.
1999 against Richmond Senior.
Yep. Standing room only.
Yep. And they let people in standing room only.
Yep. Standing room only, man.
Both teams were 8-0 going to that game. That was the first time ever that both teams played where both were 8-0.
An instant classic.
That was a great game. We came up short, but that was a great game, man. That was back vintage. That was led by none other than the legendary Fred Davis.
Yeah, it was. He did that. He made that possible.
The living legend. And still an ambassador to the program and a great ambassador and public servant to our community.
Yeah. So I mean, I those days I yearn for again because you
know how to get it. Win consistently.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
That's all you got to do.
All you got to do is get a W in that column. If that other team scored 3, all you got to do. If that other team scores 6, all you got to do is score 7.
That's it.
That's all you got to do. If they score 20, all you got to do is score 21. That's all you got to do. If they score 27, all you need is 28. That's all you got to do.
I need to go back because I thought I had this idea. It's been a while though. I don't know if I can find clips from stuff now, but I was gonna do like a top 10. But I can remember some of those games. The top 10 best Anson games of all time.
Wow.
And make one of those.
Sure. You probably got to put the 99 West Charlotte playoff game, the 2000 Crest playoff game.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a great game that 2008 Kings Mountain game. That was a barn burner.
Yeah, I wasn't there for that one, but I heard about. I think I
was there. Oh yeah, I was there. That was a barn burner. 56-55.
Yep.
I always in my heart of hearts believed that Patrick Pope converted that 2-point conversion. One official held his hands up, and the other one said no. And the one that was on the far side of the field ran across the field to say no and overruled the one that was right in front of the play. But it is what it is. But that was a barn burner, 56-55.
And that team didn't win the state.
Playoffs in 2008.
They won the state that year, didn't they?
Nope. Kannapolis beat them the very next week. Kannapolis went on to the championship and lost to Dudley. That same Kannapolis team that we beat in the regular season that year.
Yeah, I'm about to say we beat the Kannapolis team in Kannapolis that year.
That was the only game that Kannapolis lost up until the 4th round of the playoffs. That game against us. Yes, young kids out there, Anson County used to beat Kannapolis on a regular basis, even when Kannapolis was a powerhouse. You got kids out there now that have no idea about that.
One of the greatest games that ever played in Kannapolis when we played Kannapolis, and it was a 6-3 game.
Yep, that was 2005.
Yep.
At the end of the game, they went for a game time field goal, and Quentin Cable blocked it.
Yep.
The only touchdown that was scored by Greg Flowers. That touchdown was set up by the late great Jimmy Ferris. He caught like a 30-yard bomb from Chance English, and that set up a short touchdown run from Greg Flowers, which was the only score that was needed for Anson to win that game.
Yep. Great
defensive slugfest. The highlights of that game are still on YouTube for Football Friday Night. I think I posted it one time.
I got to find it. I want to watch it. I'll say this one: homecoming against Parkwood, 4th and goal.
Man, Donnie Huff, who had just joined
clogged the hole, baby, clogged the hole.
Donnie Huff had just joined the team that week because starting nose tackle Brandon Taylor was injured, and Brandon Taylor was out. Donnie Huff didn't join the team until that week. And he started at nose tackle, and they went for it on 4th goal, try to push it up the middle. Donnie plugged that hole up in 4th and goal. I mean, it was 4th and inches. But Donnie at that time, and Donnie, if you're watching, man, you were super talented, man. If you would have committed to football, you would have been something in football, bro. Because you was at that time, you were 6'5", 320 pounds, and had all the tools to be a D1 player and potential NFL player, man. He didn't really like football like that, which he admitted. There's like he didn't love it like that, but they kept asking him to play, and he didn't want to play on the team. But then after Brandon got hurt, they finally convinced him to play. Donnie Huff stuffed that hole and saved that ball game.
Yep.
Shout out to Donnie Huff, man. Incredible athlete, man. Had he really loved football like that, he could have gone to the high sights of football. Shout out to you. Hope you're doing well, man.
I think won the game 20-13, if I'm not
mistaken. Yes, they did.
Yes,
they did. We were down 13-6 in the fourth quarter and rallied to tie the game up. And
I know you remember this one. The miracle against J.M. Robinson, the comeback.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a miracle, but I was at the game. Yeah, we were down 23. We were down 23-13 with 6 minutes left.
Yeah.
Chance English, Jeremy Little connection. Jeremy Boot Little, shout out to you from Gate Station area. His family and my family are very close. He's first cousin to Marshall X-Rail. That's all the same family. Also related to the esteemed Lieutenant Rick Little, who's also a great man and great leader in our law enforcement down in Anson County. That Chance English to Jeremy Little connection was magical. We went on like a 20-0 run, got up 33-23, but then we got cooked for a touchdown 2-point conversion, but we recovered the onside kick, went on to win the game 33-31. That J.M. Robinson team was undefeated. They were 6-0 going into that game.
Sam, what's going on, man?
And that's Sleepy Sam?
Sam Williams in the building. What's going on?
Hey, Sam, make sure you send this to Pastor Crump, man, because I think I told him about this, but I don't have his contact information, so I won't able to send this. But send this link to Pastor Crump, man. Tell him to sub up because Pastor Crump, he has good knowledge, man. I like Pastor Crump's commentary. I hope to see him tomorrow to chop it up with him. But make sure Pastor Crump gets you let him know about this podcast as well, man. I think he'd enjoy it if he watched it.
I think J.M. Robinson was number 10 in the state that year too.
At that time, yeah. Number 9. I think they were number 9. They were number 10 in the Sweet 16, but number 9 in the 3A poll.
Yeah.
Last time they had to play J.M. Robinson in 2019, they had some 42-7. and the entire fourth quarter, Ralph wasn't even there because the player got hurt and he went to the hospital to get the player, which was the right thing to do since the parent wasn't there. And Anson still handled him.
What's another one?
Tyreek Harrison was toasting him, and they couldn't do nothing about it. Jaquan Stewart ran all
over him. What's another one? I would say I didn't go to that game, but I heard it was a good game. The game against Keenan Allen and them.
I was there in Northern Guilford, 34-32, man. That was Keenan Allen versus Stephon Anthony, two players who played against each other in the NFL. Later on, that game was saved when Stephon Anthony intercepted a game time 2-point conversion attempt by Northern Guilford, and that sealed the deal. I was there up in Greensboro. That was in 2009, 3AA playoffs, third round. The number 1 seed in Northern Guilford Nighthawks got taken down by the number 12 seed at Anson High School Bearcats. Stephon Anthony put that team on his shoulder that night, and he would not let his Bearcats go down. That was mano a mano. NFL prospect versus NFL prospect. Keenan Allen versus Stephon Anthony. I'll never forget it. And Stephon came out on top. Hey, Nick, you there?
Oh, I'm there. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I was about to say, if you're going away, I want to close the thing out.
No, I was you.
I was gonna say now unto him who's able to keep us from falling, rest who to buy his for now forever. And get on out of
here. Here's another good one. I was 11 or 12 at the time. The Memorial Stadium, Independence Anson 2000.
I wasn't there, but I saw the highlights of it.
I was there in person with the Memorial Stadium.
It's crazy because my neighbor that lives across the street, he was a starting defensive end for Independence, and he talks to me about that game all the time. He was like, "Man, we got so lucky that first play of the game." He said when Chris went, the ball got tipped. Y'all had a corner to tip the ball up in there. He remembers all of that. He actually asked me one day. He said, I remember y'all had this guy named Antoine Marsh and this running back named Kirby. Like, what they up to these days? I said, I think Kirby live in Wisconsin. I said, Antoine Marsh, I know he played with semi-pro team and stuff for a while. I said, he's still a beast.
Oh yeah, he still got it. He ain't lost it. I think he do trucks.
And Antoine Marsh was a freakish athlete.
Yeah, he went from defensive end and playing safety.
Man, The thing about it, man, he should have made it in the NFL, man. I don't care what nobody says.
He was there.
And he had
I
an
mean,
opportunity, man. He went back-to-back years. He went to camp with the Colts, whatever, but it just didn't work out. But you know, because NC State, I think, originally wanted him, but I don't. Things didn't work out with that, and that's why But he really played great at Pikeville. Still went to college at Pikeville, graduated from there. So and still appears to be doing well in life. So as good as still everything, life still worked out in his favor. But I'm just saying, but I just think of what he could have been.
I mean, he made the Hall of Fame. I think up there at Pikeville.
Man, he was a beast, man. And John Krieger was defense coordinator when he was up there. That same John Krieger that was defense coordinator in Anson, the legendary John Krieger, who coached under the legendary Coach Red Davis.
I know people don't look at it as something special, but he did win an Arena Bowl championship. Was one of the top players on the team.
Hey, anytime you're playing football at a professional level, whether it's NFL, whether it's USFL, whether it's XFL, whether it's AFL, if you're playing or the CFL, if you're playing football at a level to where you're getting a paycheck for doing it, that means you're an exceptional athlete.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not gonna argue that.
And Antoine Marsh is an exceptional athlete.
Yeah.
And I'm proud that he's still doing well in life.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of them guys, man. Like those were the
because you know, people always want to share the horror stories, but we got so many good stories of people who are doing well in life. Either they're not playing football, like even guys like Anthony that we're talking about doing well in life. Guys like we just mentioned, like Antoine Marsh, guys like DeJuan Pope doing well in life.
And those were the guys I watched that wanted to play football for Anson.
Even guys like
they made me want to play football.
Or just like the Pickett gentleman that Ralph was talking about, I did teaching at SEC high school now, making a contribution to society. We got plenty of guys who played at Anson, even that didn't go to the next level or whatever with football, and are still doing well in life. Not all of our guys are in the hood, guns a-blazing. We got guys doing great things.
Yeah. You're not always going to go professional. That's. I mean, a true coach will tell you that. And it's not being disrespectful. They're just telling you, like, everybody's not going to be a pro.
No, it's like less than 1% of the population who end up playing pro football or pro any sport.
But if you're a good coach, I'm just gonna prepare you for life.
Right. And at the end of the day, if you're good enough to play in the pros are gonna find you.
My point exactly.
Right. So at that point, give whatever you're doing, prepare with the best effort that you can prepare with. Perform with the best effort you can perform with, and then let everything else work itself out.
There you go.
And if you're an NFL talent and you've given your best effort, that opportunity will come. And if you're not an NFL talent, still perform at the best level, and then with the other endeavors you're in, do that at the best level you possibly can, and you can still have a successful life with or without football.
There it is. But you know, we had the what's it? We had
2 hours. 2 hours, bro.
In 2 hours, we're finna shut the bring the train in the station, as they say. Let me give this to my homie, my brother, my partner now.
Yes, sir. Hey man, I'm gonna end this on positivity, man. I'm just gonna say over the last 7 days, man, I felt re-energized. I felt rejuvenated. I feel like I have a newfound energy and a newfound zeal. I think sometimes I think I've changed some of my sleeping habits, changed a little bit of my eating habits. Sometimes I think you got to detoxify the mind and the body. I said sometimes when you do that, whether it's changing the way you eat, whether it's changing the way you sleep, whether it's changing the company you keep and who you have in your life, whatever the case may be, do whatever is necessary to make sure you have a free mind and have peace of mind. And right now, I have a newfound energy. I feel rejuvenated, and I'm looking forward to whatever comes my way and ready to take on the ensuing days.
All right, man. With that being said, hold up. My screen froze up. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, and I'm stuck here on so I'm gonna fake smile until you get yours together.
I got you. Yeah.
I ain't gonna smile all day long now.
Oh yeah, I got you. That it popped up. All right, there we go. With that being said, man, appreciate everybody for coming through, and we appreciate all the new people that have been popping up in here lately. Whether it's here, the Battle League, or whatever you wanna say, we appreciate y'all for coming through. Still trying to reach that goal of 500. It's not out of reach because it's right there. So tell a friend to tell a friend, man. We trying to move up in the algorithm. We're trying to be that channel that pops up on your main feed, you
We
know?
want to be that shining city on the hill, as former President Reagan once said.
There you go. And I want to say this, my album is coming out, so y'all be prepared for my album. It is getting ready to drop. It's
Uh,
called Still
uh,
Moments. Still Moments from I
uh.
don't know where. But anyway, man,
I ain't got nothing to do with none of that.
we up out of here, man. And I'm gone.
See you.
Catch y'all next week, man.
See you.